Canada, our home and native land. Through patriot love in all thy sons command, with glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true, North strong and the free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Well, for Game 4 of this Oilers-Jet series, Don Koharski, a 30-year-old native of Halifax, is the referee, with John D'Amico and Bob Hodges the linesman. And Grant Fuhr, a playoff standout for the Oilers, makes his 19th consecutive start. There were rumors earlier today that Andy Moog might be in goal, but Fuhr is starting as he has done in all 6 previous playoff games for Edmonton. Brian Hayward, a Cornell graduate who signed as a free agent in 1982, again is in goal for the Winnipeg Jets. Gary Dornhofer, we heard Barry Long say they would play it one period at a time. You take it one step further.
I think so. I think the Jets have to go one shift at a time. A lot of encouragement by each and every player.
Randy Gray plays it ahead, picked off by Allett for Turnbull. Turnbull trying to move in. His pass is intercepted by Napier. He in turn lost it. It's fired in offside by Landis. And now we have Turnbull and Anderson getting sticks up. And very early, tempers flare just 17 seconds into the game.
John, it started during the offside call, and as soon as Anderson and Turnbull got close to getting after it, Melnick stepped in on behalf of his teammates. There you can see Babbage restraining Melnick, but tempers flaring here early, and it's a good sign for the Winnipeg Jets that they're not going to lay down and die. You have to have emotion. Both teams showing it here early. Now, Koharski's a no-nonsense referee. You can see him right in the middle of the play here, separating things up. No way in the world Anderson wanted to go with Turnbull either. He didn't want to drop the gloves, and I don't blame him.
Kitty, I've always felt that the very first shift of a game is so very important, and especially as far as the Winnipeg Jets are concerned. You see the contact start immediately. The Jets have to make things happen, get confidence, get some momentum going.
There, Gary, you can see Turnbull going at Anderson. Anderson didn't want any part of him. Melnick stepped in. It should be interesting to see how the referee Koharski's going to call this. Now, Turnbull hasn't been near as physical as what we had expected in this series. Perhaps tonight we may see a little different Terry Turnbull. Glenn Sather, always the emotional coach behind the bench. He and John Muchler have things under control. Now, Don, you mentioned that Glenn Sather had an interesting decision to make today whether or not he was going to start Andy Moog. I think they felt that the extra time, perhaps if they won tonight, would give Moog's knees a chance for a rest.
Now, Coach Barry Long very pleased with the way his club has performed in the series, especially in Game 3. Says that we have given it all we've got. When it gets right down to who's got the more talent, it's the Edmonton Oilers. And really, I think that was the decided factor.
Well, the Winnipeg Jets will have a manpower advantage as Melnick draws 2 minutes for cross-checking and Anderson a slashing penalty. Terry Turnbull of the Jets off for slashing at the 17-second mark. So the Winnipeg Jets felt that they had to get off to a quick start in this game. They thought it would be imperative here in Game 4, trailing 3-0, and they will get a power play opportunity just 17 seconds into the game.
Their power play reads in this series, 4 goals in 13 chances. So they'll have a couple of guys on the point that know how to handle the puck, know how to set up plays, and with Babbage having that good low shot, you can be sure that they will jam in front of Grant Fuhr looking for that deflection.
Now, Winnipeg went 2 goals in 4 attempts in Game 3 here in Winnipeg. It's interesting to see Winnipeg on the power play. You know, the Howard Chuck things been played to death, but very long realizes without Howard Chuck, they're in trouble on the power play.
Thomas Steen in his own zone. Plays it ahead to Benny Lundholm for Dave Babbitt. Babbitt's a tower of strength in Game 3. He brought it across the line, however, offside.
Here's a good example of when defensemen challenge at the blue line, how effective that is. The way the game's played today, the tendency is to back in because of all the skills that players have in carrying the puck over the blue line. What happened? Fogelin decided to stand up, and he broke up the play very effectively.
Steen wins the draw from Messier, gets it over to Carlisle to Babbitt. Drop pass for Lundholm. Lundholm for Steen. He couldn't get a shot away. Mayo gets it, played it behind the net, and Steen couldn't make a play. Steen does get it again for Lundholm. Lundholm to Babbitt, to Thomas Steen. Back to the point. Carlisle, a shot, he scores!
Power play goal for the Winnipeg Jets. Lost with a shot goal. They scouted Grant Muir. They said through the legs. The 5-hole, very important. I think the key here is how quickly Carlisle shot the puck. Muir's still moving out at him. He's not set. See how his legs are moving? And Carlisle hits the spot.
You know, we talked about that in the morning too, John, that it's very important for a goaltender to get in that set position. And if you're not in that set position, there are going to be some areas that you're going to exploit. And that, if there has ever been a problem with Grant Muir, it's the 5-hole. Randy Carlisle takes advantage of that for the power play goal.
Steen and Babbitt drawing assists on the goal by Carlisle at 53 seconds. Loose puck in the center ice area. Lundholm, who scored a short-handed goal in Game 3, lost it at the line when checked by Coffey. And Dave Semenko, a Winnipeg native, brings it back. His shot goes off a leg to the corner, laid up around the boards into the center ice area, and Gretzky slipped it in offside. 18:34 is the time remaining in this first period.
Hey, you want to know how to make a car sing? Well, after you wash it, just get out the old Armor All. First I do the tires. Makes them look like new again. Then I do the bumpers. Makes them look like bumpers again, yeah. Then I do the dash, the door panels. Then I hit the hoses. And when I'm finished with Armor All, this car is the envy of the entire living world.
And then he does his car.
Company car.
Now Randy Carlisle gets the goal. Whether he was aiming for that 5-hole or not, that's where it went through. And the scouting report was on Grant Muir. Shoot for that area.
Charles Huddy goes back into his own zone. He and Coffey move it around. Finally ahead to Semenko to get it out of that Edmonton zone. The Jets grab it in the center ice area, played back into Edmonton territory, but Coffey begins weaving his way out of there. A little too far for Curry, and it's dumped back out. Thomas Steen picks it up. Going in against Huddy, and Huddy takes him out of the play. The puck goes into the corner. Paul McLean back to the line. Carlisle winds up. A shot, hit a leg. Another shot by Spale. And with the goaltender down, you're out of position. It was knocked down at the side of the net. Loose puck in the center ice area. Finally picked up by Thomas Steen for Smale, and it's whistled down. Now with a Stanley Cup update, here's Brian McFarland.
The Chicago Blackhawks have taken an early lead over Minnesota. Larmer, Secord, and Savard teaming up on this. Secord fans on it, but there's Larmer, and he drills one past starting goaltender Don Beaupre. 1:11, first period.
1-0, the Winnipeg Jets leading the Edmonton Oilers. 17:39 remaining in the first.
John, during that last rush by Paul Coffey, he's taking command or trying to early here. Charlie Huddy just stays right back. He doesn't get much credit for the fact when Coffey's on the ice, but he really makes sure he's back and playing a defensive style. Grant Muir not quite set here. They want the defense involved in the power play. The Winnipeg Jets. Carlisle gets their goal. Babbitts gets the assist. That's having your defense involved as far as the power play goes.
Murray gets the draw back into his own zone for Picard. Up along the boards, Wade Campbell is dressed in this game in place of Andrew McBain. The Jets discovered this morning that Andrew McBain is suffering from mononucleosis. So Andrew McBain out of the lineup, and that perhaps explains why he has had so much trouble in the past few weeks.
Don, they weren't sure what his problem was. Andrew McBain we're talking about. He showed up at practice yesterday. He had a burning sensation in his eyes. He couldn't go more than 15 or 20 seconds per shift. They did a blood test, and they found out the bad news. And the story is they're not sure how severe it is. It may ruin his whole summer.
Carlisle moving into the corner, sliding it in front, nobody in position. Now Picard winds up a shot right on, and it's gloved by Fuhr.
Well, the way the Winnipeg Jets are pouring on the pressure, number 31 is going to be very prominent in this first period if he's going to keep making those big saves, because they can ill afford to give up 2 or 3 goals to this Jet Hockey Club.
Well, this time Grant Fuhr controls the puck for no rebound. As you can see, a couple of players standing in front. Grant Fuhr expects the Winnipeg Jets to do the same thing as they did in game number 3, and that's crowd that net as much as possible.
You know, one thing on that shot from the point, Picard has to keep it low. There's no way a guy standing in front can deflect that if it's around his shoulders. Keep it along the ice. Give that man a chance to use the deflection.
A capacity crowd again tonight in the Winnipeg Arena, taking in this 4th game of this Smythe Division Final.
Don, here we see the forechecking of the Winnipeg Jets. See, Wilson stopped in front of the net before he went behind the net. Barry Long does not want his players swooping in behind the net when the other team has possession behind the goal. He wants them to go in front of the net, stop, and be disciplined. He didn't feel they were disciplined in game 3.
Ron Wilson, who spent much of the season wondering whether or not he would remain with the NHL team, came up with a big goal in game number 3 in that 5-4 loss to the Edmonton Oilers.
Miss Rigby, revise these reports.
Wang knows what being a secretary is really like.
And cancel that conference.
And now Wang's designed the first computer for what secretaries really do.
And type this by 10.
The Wang Office Assistant. It can juggle a lot of jobs at once. Typing, filing, scheduling, even spreadsheets. The Wang Office Assistant. Bounce the idea off your boss. Or call 1-800-268-7856 for the dealer nearest you.
In the absence of Dale Howardchuk, Ron Wilson continues to center Mullen and McLean. Lindstrom and Hunter are out there on the wings of Kevin McClellan. And the puck is dumped back into Edmonton territory. Lowe races back after it and clears it. Now Waters will have to wait for 2 teammates to get onside. Picked up by the Oilers and brought out. Waters races back into his own zone as Jim Kite takes Willie Lindstrom out of the play. Long pass for Paul McLean. He shoots it in. Mullen racing into the corner after it. Fuhr is out of his net to play it, and there's an injured Edmonton player.
Willie Lindstrom went into Paul McLean and actually held up a little bit. McLean brought his stick up, and I'm not sure if he caught Lindstrom in the face on the play. Lindstrom was flying, and he went over to Paul McLean, was going to bump him into the boards, held up in the last second, and I saw him, Willie Lindstrom go right down, and I'm not real sure what happened there. We'll watch as Lindstrom is going to take a run right at McLean. McLean puts a stick up to protect himself. Oh, and right there you see him use his stick, and it goes right across the face of Willie Lindstrom.
Willie Lindstrom, who began his professional career with the Winnipeg Jets of the World Hockey Association, stayed with the Jets in their early years in the NHL, and then was traded in '83 to Edmonton for Laurie Boschman.
Doesn't appear as though there's any penalty going to be called on the play. Don Koharski did not motion anybody towards the penalty box.
You know, in game 3, the line matchup was Messier for the Oilers against Boschman from the Winnipeg Jets, and it really was a mismatch because the way Anderson, Messier, and Napier were skating, they really left the Jets behind and consequently scored 3 goals. Now, this is the same matchup that Barry Long is using tonight, so we're just going to have to see if Boschman and his teammates can just cut down the skating and cut off the angles and try to get in front of Messier.
Boschman and Messier face each other in that face-off circle to the right of Fuhr. Messier gets it, dumps it to the line, not out. Nil for Boschman, over to Turnbull, a shot, and that hit Messier. Now it's Anderson clearing the zone. Babbage races into his own zone as Hayward stops it at the side of the net. Babbage skates away from Semenko. Lead pass for Boschman. He couldn't control it. Boschman and Huddy bump as it goes loose in the corner. They try and tie it up along the boards. Then Turnbull comes in. Turnbull fighting with Messier. Turnbull moving along the boards, doing an excellent job with his feet of controlling that puck. Now Jim Nill comes in there as well. Turnbull again gets a stick on it. It slides in front of the net, and Paul Coffey breaks out a 3-on-2. On the right side for Anderson. He's bodied by Emmett. Coffey gets the puck, tries to play it back to the point, but Messier wasn't in position.
And Boschman took a pretty good run at Anderson himself. It looks like Boschman's showing up to play with a little bit of aggressiveness during this game.
Good hit at the line as Turnbull was sent flying on a check by Messier, and those two had something going earlier in the period, and we may see an outbreak between number 27 of the Jets, Turnbull, and 11 Messier of the Oilers before too much more time is played. 14:52 remains in the first. Tonight's hockey game is coming to you from the Winnipeg Arena.
Molson Canadian. Taste that'll stop you cold.
John, during Game 3, Glenn Sather in the third period really changed his lines around. It looks like he's starting to do it early in this game. Here in the first period, he's got Napier on the left side with Gretzky and Curry. Now, his idea in Game 3 was to get Gretzky away from Steen. They're against each other right now. I think what Sather will do is see how Wayne Gretzky does against Thomas Steen. And if he doesn't fare that well, he'll move him to another centerman if he possibly can.
Gregg is taken out of the play by Carlisle. The puck loose in the corner. Carlisle loses it. Gretzky scores as he took the puck and walked out from behind the net.
Now there's an example of how quick Wayne Gretzky can get his team back to even, but it looked like Hayward was moving across the net to his right, and Gretzky just changed direction and came out on the short side. Now watch the puck squirt loose. And Wayne Gretzky will immediately go for that puck. And look at Hayward looking the other way. And then he can't get back, get that pad, and skate in front of the goal post, and before you know it, it's in.
Watch the work in the corner of the Edmonton Oilers. They knocked the defenseman Carlisle off the puck. Good forechecking by the Oilers. Really set that up. Gretzky just simply took the open puck and moved it quickly.
An unassisted goal by Gretzky. He takes the drop pass over on the far side, and Napier couldn't control it. Now Napier is tied up by Steen, and the puck poked out to center ice by Carlisle. 5:20, the time of the goal. Gretzky's fourth of the playoffs, an unassisted tally. All four of his goals have been scored against Winnipeg. He picked up 5 assists against the Los Angeles Kings, but did not score a goal in that preliminary round.
Of course, Barry Long has a different philosophy against Wayne Gretzky. He's going to let Gretzky carry the puck and try to cover the wingers. Well, that has certainly opened up the ice area, and consequently, Gretzky has responded with 4 goals.
Again, watch him just stuff it right inside. Again, Hayward going in the wrong direction. Gretzky can make that move quickly with his balance and his good lateral movement. The Edmonton Oilers, that was the first time they had forechecked this entire period, and they controlled the corner and got the puck.
Well, one thing Gretzky can do is turn on a dime. He can turn so sharply, and he took advantage of it and beat Hayward.
From the face-off, it goes back of the net for Lowe. He plays it up along the boards to his defensive partner, and then Fogelin dumps it ahead to Messier. He tried to shoot it in. It was intercepted by the Jets and cleared.
John, even though it's the first period, every single face-off in the Edmonton zone to the left of Ramsfiore, Mark Messier's been out there for the face-offs, and he's controlled it.
Now, for an update on the Minnesota-Chicago game, here's Jim Robson in Minnesota.
Here at the Met Center in Minnesota, the Blackhawks are leading 1-0 on a power play goal by Steve Larmer at 1:11. And we've had a lot of penalties early in the game, handed out by referee Terry Gregson, including majors to Fraser and Flett. And there have been a total of 5 minors, 4 of them for roughing. And it's a rough start with Minnesota playing very aggressively, but trailing early. Steve Larmer's 3rd goal of the playoffs, opening the scoring.
1-1 with 13:37 left in the first here at the Winnipeg Arena. Randy Carlisle and Wayne Gretzky scoring the goals. Hughes centers it. Krushelnyski with a quick shot. It hit the side of the net. Wade Campbell, who is playing on a wing in place of Andrew McBain out with mononucleosis, shot it in. Dump back out, and the Jets gain possession again and fire it in. Scott Arneal in there forechecking. He couldn't get to the puck quickly enough. It's loose in the center ice area now. A lead pass for Pozar, but it's offside.
Of course, Pat Hughes did not play a single game in the LA series, and then finally got an opportunity to play. And you know, we talked about how important it is to get some kind of scoring from your third line. Well, up to this point, only Kevin McClellan has scored 1 goal, and the Oilers talked about that today. And maybe with Pat Hughes being in there, they'll get some mileage, because as they go on in the playoffs, it's very important that they get more line scoring for them.
Paul McLean with Wilson, break up. Wilson looking for McLean, and the pass was intercepted by Coffey. Now, everyone talks about Paul Coffey's offensive skills, but he's turned into a pretty good defensive hockey player as well. He demonstrated that in the Canada Cup Series with a great individual effort late in the game against the Soviets. Ron Wilson has the pass just go off the end of his stick as Huddy brings it back. He flips it high into the Winnipeg zone. Babbage around on the boards, but not out. Coffey for Huddy, a shot. That hit a leg. Jim Kite and McClellan battling at the side of the net. McClellan gets it again. Kite takes him in against the boards. Lindstrom is also there along with Wilson. Finally, they dig it out. Willie Lindstrom trying to play it back at the net. He does. McClellan was tied up, however, and Babbage got to the puck. McLean shoots it in, and Mullen is upset.
Don Mullen got a high stick from Charlie Huddy as Mullen broke over the blue line. He got it right in the face. You could see him holding his forehead. Mullen had a lot of speed going as he went over the blue line. Charlie Huddy just simply reached out with a stick, and he got him up high.
You know, Koharski immediately was looking to his 2 linesmen to see if they had seen the play.
Well, you got to hope right now that that's not his eye. That's the first thing that's important here. Obvious that young Mullen is in a lot of pain. I looked at Koharski immediately. He did not put his arm up to indicate a penalty of any sort, but you're right, Gary.
He didn't see it.
He's now conversing with the 2 linesmen near Brian Mullen, as he may wonder if something should have been called. Now watch Mullen as he broke over the blue line. You'll see a stick come up from Charlie Huddy. Now he goes down. Obvious pain. He let go of his stick immediately. Now the referee, Koharski, is skating over towards that penalty box right now. Gretzky's talking to him. Something may be called here.
11:57 is the time remaining here in the first period.
The taste is right. Sprite. Clean, crisp, cool, caffeine-free, completely refreshing. Sprite, the lemon-lime taste that reaches deep down inside and makes you feel so totally refreshed. So clear, so right, so bright, so bright, 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 bright.
Well, the Edmonton Oilers will be playing a man short for the next 5 minutes as Charlie Huddy has drawn a 5-minute high sticking major.
Now, as we had mentioned before, Koharski did not see it. It was either John D'Amico or Hodges that conferred with Koharski and called the penalty, a 5-minute major penalty.
And you can see the opinion of the Edmonton Oilers right there as Messier and Gretzky are pleading their case on behalf of head coach Glenn Sather. With Don Koharski, it certainly won't be changed. Winnipeg with a glorious chance to get something going now. They have 1 power play goal in this game. Carlisle scored it from the point. He and Babbage were the pair on defense, and the defensemen were very involved on that particular play. Charlie Huddy, after he did it, skated over, slammed his stick down. Accidental play, but he's in the box for 5 minutes.
Loose puck behind the net. Thomas Steen to the line for Babbage. Back to Steen. Rink wide for Carlisle. Carlisle takes a shot. It hit a skate and is brought out by Messier. Messier trying to split the defense. Puck goes loose, picked up by Gretzky. He was looking for Gregg back at the point, and it deflects into the center ice area.
John, did you see Messier take both defensemen down with him? That almost opened it up for the other Oilers. These Winnipeg Jets get a little bit nervous when Gretzky's out killing penalties.
Lundholm for Smale. Back to Carlisle, over to Babbitt. A shot, and it hit the post. Back of the net. Steen to Babbitt. A shot, and that's deflected high to the corner. Gregg having a little difficulty there, lost it. It comes loose. To the line, kept in on a good move by Babbitt. Babbitt for Steen. Back to Carlisle. Carlisle with a shot. That hit a leg, and Fuhr grabs it at the side of the net.
You can see Grant Fuhr wave his stick up at Thomas Steen as Steen tried to get the loose puck. Babbitt's making some real good plays here early in a hockey game, and that's got to be something that the Winnipeg Jets have to be happy about. Gretzky taking a bit of a chance to try and get that breakaway. Babbitt's kept it in. Now watch the puck deflect through the legs of Fuhr here. Right through the legs. Hits the goalpost off the stick of Lundholm.
You know, another time the puck went back to Babbage, and he just took a little snapshot, trying to keep the puck low, trying to keep it somewhere near the net where a forward can deflect it. So he didn't wind up for that big slap shot, allowing an opportunity for a defenseman or a forward to deflect it in the crowd. So the main thing for a defenseman is just to get it around the net somewhere.
3:51 remaining in the power play. Allett fakes the shot. Gets it into Paul McLean. Back to Allett. Allett takes a weak shot. Knocked down. McLean races in for the rebound. He took a whack at it. It bounced high, and Messier brings it out. Messier trying to slide it ahead for Krushelnyski. He was upset. Up along the boards for McLean. He's forced back by Hunter. With 3:22 remaining in the 5-minute major. Babbitt gets the loose puck in his own zone. The Oilers forcing the Jets in their own zone. And now the Oilers get that puck, and they kill off more precious seconds in this 5-minute penalty to Huddy.
Also, we've seen the Oilers try to take some dives, go down, trying to draw a penalty while they're that man short. 3:02 left in the power play.
Now it's Turnbull for Boschman. Boschman across the line. It was offside. With a Stanley Cup update, here's Brian McFarland.
Ron Wilson, who's been playing in Europe until late in the season, scores for the Minnesota North Stars to tie it at 1 at the Metropolitan Sports Center. Here's the shot. Look at Willie Plett in front, screening Bannerman. It's in behind Bannerman. 1-1, Minnesota and Chicago.
And Ron Wilson played over in Europe this season. He came back to North America, and the Minnesota North Stars signed him until the end of the season. As soon as the year's up, he's going to go back to Europe, play over there. Former Toronto Maple Leaf Ron Wilson really playing well for those Minnesota North Stars.
2:50 remaining in the penalty. 9:45 in this period. And it's offside as Carlisle and Smale came across the line.
Well, this was a glorious opportunity for the Winnipeg Jets, and Barry Long realizes it, and they've got to get some kind of offense going in the Edmonton end of the ice, and it's only happened on one occasion. And you can credit the defense and the good forechecking for Edmonton. And also, J.D., when the Oilers get a hold of it, they're not anxious to shoot it down immediately. They'll rag it, try to kill off as much time as possible.
Well, Gary, there's 2 or 3 times they've gone offside. I'm talking about the Winnipeg Jets at the Edmonton blue line. You've got to throw it in a little bit, change things up. If you don't have, good control of it, dump it in and go get it. Do something different. Don't always slow it down by going offside.
Coffey shoots it in as Picard goes back for Winnipeg with 2:37 remaining in this 5-minute major. Doug Smale down the right side. Smale trying to go around Coffey. He gets the puck in the corner, plays it to Thomas Steen. Back to Smale. Smale trying to center it. It went off Randy Gregg. It goes to the board, and Steen comes up with it. Back to the line. Picard to Steen. Back to Picard. He winds up. Save. Rebounded. Lundholm was unable to tap it in. Now in the corner, Steen runs into the referee Koharski, and Coffey comes out. Coffey across the Winnipeg line. Trying to slide it back to the point. Nobody in position. Back comes Lundholm for Winnipeg. Lundholm lost control of it. Gets it again. Wait. And Fuhr way out of his net. Made the save.
Did you see how Lundholm held onto that puck as long as possible? He knew Fuhr was off balance, but he had to wait till Fuhr went down, and then Lundholm couldn't pop the puck up over top of him. Lundholm got control of the puck near the blue line. If he had moved it quickly, one of his wingers were wide open, it would have been a breakaway. Instead, he couldn't do it. Now watch him get a little luck here as it bounces over. Now watch Fuhr. Fuhr's on his way down right now. He had to wait. Couldn't quite get it up over top of the goaltender. Great play by both athletes, both Fuhr and Lundholm.
Looked like Lundholm was a little bit too close to Fuhr. Had he drawn that puck back a little more, and he's talking about it right now on the Jet bench, he might have been able to flip it over top of Fuhr.
Lundholm has scored 2 goals in this playoff series, both of them shorthanded. Babbage unable to control it at the point. It goes all the way down the ice. 1:40 the time remaining in the 5-minute major to Charlie Huddy. Allen drives it into Edmonton territory. Paul McLean picked it up off the boards, tried to center it, nobody in position.
Well, that's what really hurts your hockey club, when you go 200 feet and then you give it away in the offensive zone. Now everybody has to come all the way back and start over again.
Loose puck in that Winnipeg zone. Good forechecking by Messier, and he brings it in across the line, gets it over to the other side. Yari Curry drops it all the way back to his own blue line to Fogelin. Just 1 minute remaining in the 5-minute major to Charlie Huddy. The Oilers have done an excellent job of killing off his penalty.
You know, it's marvelous to watch a young player like Dave Ellett, number 2 from Winnipeg, quarterbacking the power play in his first-year pro.
Ron Wilson tried to slide it out to Lundholm. It was picked off, and Gretzky breaks in. Working against Ellett. Gretzky scores!
He rises to the occasion, doesn't he, number 99? But what made that play possible? As soon as Gretzky sensed that his defenseman would pick up that puck, he's immediately heading out. Look at that. That one pass out of the zone, and now it's the Wayne Gretzky show, and he can do so many different things when he has the puck. He can stop, he can turn you inside out. That time he did it to Ellett, had him turning inside out, and lets the slap shot go through his legs.
See, he's waiting for Ellett to come towards him. Now when he cuts back, he uses Ellett as a screen for the shot. No way in the world Hayward's going to see this shot. It squirts underneath him. Great play by 99 again.
The 5th goal of the playoffs for Wayne Gretzky, a shorthanded goal at 12:22. And now it's Picard back into his own zone. And will that have a demoralizing effect on the Winnipeg Jets? They had a great chance with that 5-minute penalty to Huddy to perhaps jump into an early lead in this hockey game, but a shorthanded goal by Wayne Gretzky has given the Oilers the lead. Turnbull in the corner. Tried to center it. It's picked off by Coffey, and he comes out. And the penalty to Charlie Huddy is over. Coffey with a drive, the save by Hayward. And now Laurie Boschman starts back for Winnipeg. To Picard. 6:48 remaining in this first period. 2-1. The Oilers in front. Loose puck in the corner. Curry gets it to Fogelin. Fogelin is tied up by Boschman. As a matter of fact, both Edmonton players tied up by the Winnipeg center, forcing a faceoff. Live on CBC, Stanley Cup 85.
We've got the best-built cars and trucks in North America, and we want you to compare our cars and trucks to anything made anywhere by anybody. How about you, Hank Alisic?
I get a kick out of this one.
How about you, Laurie Howe?
I compared. My new Topaz is the best car I've ever driven.
Toronto, now get Ford's 5-year DuraGuard warranty on all our 85 cars.
Toronto, we can't be outdone. At Ford, quality is job one.
Temple, you made a believer out of me.
6:37 remaining in the first period. Edmonton in front of Winnipeg, 2-1. The Edmonton Oilers surviving a 5-minute major to Charlie Huddy. Back to the line for Waters. To the other side, Jim Kite with a shot. That hit Fogelin as he came driving out to knock it down, and the Oilers bring it into the center ice area. Fogelin now. Flips it off a leg. It goes to the corner, picked up there by Paul McLean. His lead pass, he's looking for O'Neill, picked off by Hughes. Hughes has it poked away by Jim Kite. Now he slides it in for Posar. Posar is checked. The puck goes loose in the corner. Hughes fighting with Ron Wilson for possession in the corner. The puck bounces to Scott O'Neill, and he clears it.
So I'm watching Paul McLean. He realizes he's better without the puck. Pass it as soon as he can. Sometimes he passes it too much and looks a little nervous.
Lundholm shoots! The save by Pure on that 3-on-2 break. Now with a Stanley Cup update, here's Brian McFarland.
2 quick goals between Chicago and Minnesota. Watch Denny Savard come in over that line and drill one. Goes around Roberts first, gets it past Beaupre. That puts Chicago in front 2-1. But the North Stars come right back 14 seconds later. Randy Valashchuk for the North Stars coming down the right side. A left-hand shot, and he drills it past Bannerman. High to the corner. 2-2 tie, still in the first period.
What's with all these long shots going in?
Here's a drive by Ellett. That sails wide. Babbage into the corner. Now it's dumped up on the wing, and Gretzky starts out. He's got Curry with him. 2-on-1. Babbage catching up on the play. The trailer was Huddy. He gets it to Curry, and Curry was tied up behind the goal as Babbage comes back. Ahead for Smale. Smale across the line for Lundholm. The Steen backhand shot saved by Pure. Smale gets it to Lundholm. Back to Smale. Quick shot. He fired it wide. Ellett unable to keep it in as it's dumped out, and the Oilers break out 2-on-1. Napier with Gretzky. Shoots. He fires it wide. Gretzky tried to center it. It goes to the corner for Paul Coffey. Back of the net for Gretzky. Again trying to center it. Napier bangs away at it. Ellett falls, and Babbage, playing a strong game for Winnipeg, brings it out. Babbage loses it at the line, and back comes Paul Coffey. Good end-to-end action here in the Winnipeg Arena. Drive by Curry. Saved by Hayward. Another shot, this time by Messier. And it's stopped, and Carlisle takes over back of the net. The Winnipeg Jets first on the board with a power play goal by Randy Carlisle, but then 2 goals by Gretzky, one of them shorthanded, have moved the Oilers in front by a 2-1 score. Melnick back of the net for Randy Gray. Along the boards for Anderson to Messier. Semenko playing that left side. They try and slide it in front for Semenko. He was tied up by Picard, and Boschman brings it back. Boschman is checked by Messier, and Melnick takes over in his own zone. 3:58 remaining here in the first period.
Just watch the Oilers. Whenever they receive a pass, they're always in full motion. That's possible to beat somebody that way. Never standing still when they get the puck.
At the line, Kevin Lowe unable to keep it in. Racing back after it is Fogelin, and now we have Picard and Semenko threatening to go at it in front of Brian Hayward, but neither drops his glove.
I'll tell you what, they were having some kind of battle in front of that net of Brian Hayward. Now, Semenko on his way to the penalty box is skating right in front of that Jets bench.
Hockey Night in Canada returns in a moment.
Home and rhythm is in my shoes. No use sitting there and singing the blues. So be my guest, you got nothing to lose. Won't you let me take you on a sea cruise? Ooh-wee, ooh-wee, baby. Ooh-wee, ooh-wee, baby. Ooh-wee, ooh-wee, baby. Won't you let me take you on a sea cruise?
Molson Canadian. Taste that'll stop you cold.
At the Quebec Coliseum, the Montreal Canadiens have moved in front of Quebec 2-1 as Guy Carbonneau makes a steal here off Peter Stastny, moves in and beats Gosselin. Pretty goal for Carbonneau. 2-1 Montreal, second period. Islanders leading Philadelphia in the second period. Goals by LaFontaine and Trottier.
And the Winnipeg Jets have a manpower advantage as Semenko went off for elbowing. He and Picard were pushing and shoving. Loose puck as it bounces to the goal mouth. Pure grabbed it in front of Scott Arniel.
I remember earlier in the period, the Jets had a 5-minute power play advantage, and when all was said and done, the Oilers capitalized on a shorthanded tally. So it's very important that the Jets get their power play going, and they have to solve the riddle of Grant Pure. Jam that front of the net, and let's really make things difficult for them.
Paul Coffey in Game 3 took quite a check from David Babbage. Coffey said that he realizes Babbage could have really hurt him had he stepped into him. Babbage kind of eased off when Coffey had his back turned, and Coffey said he went up to him in the third period and said, "Thank you." Now it's Lundholm. Back to the line for Babbage. To Lundholm. Lundholm at the side of the net. Steen jams away at it. Got the rebound. Tried to get it out to Carlisle, who had raced in from the point. Now Kevin Lowe along the boards. Loses it. Vail has got it. Back of the net. Lundholm to the line for Babbage. Babbage with a shot, and it's gloved by Pure. Now we have another altercation. Kevin Lowe and Doug Smale. Thomas Steen also trying to get in there.
John, during this power play, all the action's been right around that goal crease area. There, Glenn Sather's going at it again with the fans, that same area as last game here in Winnipeg. But Lowe and Smale end up in the beef this time. But all the action has been right around that goal crease area. The point's wide open for the Winnipeg Jets. They have to use them a little bit more. And Gary, you said earlier, keep the puck down.
Take us out to the ball game. Take us out and you'll see it's not as tough as it was before. No need for breaking us in anymore. 'Cause we're made of super soft leather. Try us out and you'll see. 'Cause it's Cooper. Cooper's the name. It's a new ball game.
Cooper, gloves so soft, they're ready to play ball when you are.
Another goal at the Metropolitan Sports Center in Minnesota. The Blackhawks score to move in front 3-2. Murray and Savard set up rookie Ed Olchuk. There it is, and the Hawks move in front of the North Stars.
Here, Kevin Lowe joins Dave Semenko in the penalty box. Lowe and Smale both 2 minutes each for roughing.
And fellas, injuries continue to mount for the Winnipeg Jets. Brian Mullen is gone for the game. He was cut near the eye area.
So the ranks of the Winnipeg Jets depleted even further. A shot right on. The rebound as Turnbull had Coffey tied up, almost bounced in off the two players.
Turnbull wasn't even looking for the puck, though. He was more aware of where Coffey was. Turnbull didn't have the blade of his stick on the ice. There was a loose puck. That's a golden opportunity. Now watch how the puck is just simply directed towards the goal. Fuhr lets a rebound out. Now watch Turnbull. He doesn't even look for the puck. He was more aware of bumping and pushing Coffey than scoring on a loose puck.
You know, a problem area for the Edmonton Oilers at times this past season was the inability to clear men from in front of the net. In that last sequence before Lowe got the penalty, Fulton and Lowe did an excellent job, and when Babbage did let the shot go, Fuhr had an easy time of it because he could see it.
Coffey finds an opening. He clears it with 51 seconds remaining in the penalty to Dave Semenko. Turnbull lost control of it, got it back to Carlisle, over to Babbage. Babbage working his way in on the wing for Jim Nill. He couldn't pick up the pass, and Randy Gregg out of his own zone to the line. Carlisle couldn't keep it in, and Turnbull circles back into the center ice area for Winnipeg. 25 seconds remaining in the penalty to Semenko. Jim Nill dumps it ahead for Babbage on the wing, too far for Boschman. Boschman got it again. It goes loose to the corner. Boschman working hard for the Winnipeg Jets, over to Carlisle. Carlisle takes the shot. It goes off his skate to the corner. Babbage goes into the boards with the Edmonton player, and they force a face-off as the penalty to Semenko ends.
Most coaches, they say it's fine for defensemen to go in the offensive zone. Babbage did that, but also very smart on the play of Laurie Boschman. He covered up his point position.
Laurie Boschman's been playing a lot of very physical hockey for the Winnipeg Jets, and there's no question in my mind that he's been hurting a little bit. You know, he and Grant Fuhr, when they both played in Edmonton together as teammates, roomed together, and it's been interesting to watch this series as there's been a lot of collisions around that goal crease of Grant Fuhr, and Fuhr was saying that he and Boschman are throwing the vocal jabs back and forth, having a lot of conflicts, and in fun and also serious at other times.
Can you see Boschman playing any other way?
Absolutely not.
Charlie Huddy plays it around for Paul Coffey. Coffey gets it ahead to Krushelnyski. Krushelnyski drops it for Gretzky. He spins around, a back pass for Curry. Curry was tied up, and the Jets come back, led by Picard. Picard going around Coffey, centers it, and it's picked off by Huddy and cleared down the ice. A race for that puck. Ellett got there first against Gretzky and Curry. Ellett clears the zone.
Hey, I'll tell you, that Ellett showed a good burst of speed. When you can outrace Gretzky to the puck, you must have something going for yourself. Good play by Ellett.
We're moving into the final minute of this first period. The Oilers leading 2-1. Curry with a shot that went over top the Winnipeg net. Along the boards, bumping with Picard and Krushelnyski. Curry picks up the puck. He's fighting with Wilson, dumps it into the corner for Gretzky. Out for Krushelnyski. He couldn't get a shot away. Krushelnyski is taken into the boards by Ellett. Wilson trying to get in there along with Curry, and finally the play is whistled down, and now Curry and Wilson do a little extracurricular shoving.
The Jets playing a man-on-man situation in their own zone. Two forwards up on the point men. Picard stayed right with Gretzky, but you look at number 2, Dave Ellett, we were talking about his speed. His dad is here in the audience. His dad coaches the Ottawa 67s Junior Hockey Club in Ontario. And of course, his dad played with John Ferguson in years past in the All-American League. I believe it was with the Cleveland Crusaders, but Dave wants to get something special going tonight with his dad here in the stands.
Dave Ellett out of Bowling Green University, signed by the Winnipeg Jets at last year's draft in Montreal that was televised for the first time. Here's a shot from the face-off by Melnick. The save made by Brian Hayward. A race for the loose puck, and Randy Gregg got back, and he banks it off the board back into Winnipeg territory. Carlisle for Babbitt. Ahead to Boschman on the right side for Jim Nill. The pass behind him. As a result, he was offside.
You know, you mentioned Jim Nill. He's another fellow that's been playing with a lot of problems. He got injured before the playoffs started. He has a problem with his rib cage, and he's had a lot of trouble just trying to get some sort of motion going. Bending back and forth has been a problem. He plays a very physical game, and I believe he wears a flak jacket underneath that uniform too. And you can see he was adjusting it there, but he's a physical player, and you have to play with pain in the playoffs, and he hasn't missed a shift, and it's a tribute to Jim Nill to be able to do that.
Carlisle shoots it in with 9 seconds remaining in the period. Mayo bodies Melnick. Now Lundholm gets it, a back shot, and they try and bank it in. As the period ends, Mayo attempted to bank it in off Grant Fuhr, but the period ends. So with the score, Edmonton 2, Winnipeg 1. Stay tuned for our first intermission.
7:45 a.m. The Waltons were enjoying their holidays 2,000 miles from home when all of a sudden it happened. Transmission problems. Jack wasn't worried, though. He looked to the telephone book to find that friendly name, Mr. Transmission. With over 80 centers across Canada, Jack knew he would find a Mr. Transmission close at hand. 3 p.m., the Waltons were on their way again. That's why people are saying,
Hey, Mr. Transmission. Hey, Mr. You're a friend of mine.
Jim Bain talks about saving money on his 2 cars with Allstate's 2-car discount.
I did save money with Allstate's 2-car discount, but as you can see, the 2 cars are kind of gone right now. My wife, well, she went shopping. The kids went shopping, too. Of course, you know how that can happen, boy. The minute you shoot a commercial on your front lawn, everybody goes shopping. But they'll be back.
Contact an Allstate agent about the 2-car discount. You're in good hands with Allstate.
You know, I swept this entire driveway this morning, and then they take the cars.
Are you sure about this? Ask me later. I don't know, this bridge looks rotted out. It's going! We made it! But the muffler didn't. Oh, man. We're taking a big chance with this load. Here's where we don't take chances.
I like the way you do things.
Yeah, these guys know their stuff.
And here's your guarantee. Looks like we're going to make it. I know the muffler will.
Well, sometimes you take chances, but not when you need a muffler job. Listen, if you plan to buy new furniture, a waterbed, major appliance, TV, video, or stereo this year, I want you to plan right now to join thousands of bargain hunters Friday from noon until 10 at the Brick Warehouse, every location. The Brick Warehouse. Incredible half-price in-store warehouse sale Friday, noon till 10. Regular inline inventory, all of it reduced. Warehouse discontinued one-of-a-kind stocks, savings up to 40, 50, even 60% off.
Here in Winnipeg, the Edmonton Oilers leading the hockey game 2-1, lead in the series 3-0, first period over. Now we're going to go live to Minnesota, where Jim Robson is standing by. In fact, he's right there calling the play-by-play between the Hawks and the North Stars.
Just over 2 minutes left to play in the first period here at the Met Center in Minnesota, game for the Norris Division final, and it's a rousing period. It's a 3-2 Chicago lead, as 3 times they've taken the lead for Bob Pulford. As Steve Larmer scored on the power play, Ron Wilson of Minnesota tied it, Denny Savard scored, and then Randy Belichick tied it, and then a great goal by young Ed Olczyk gave Chicago the 3-2 lead. It's been a stormy period. In fact, we've had a couple of scraps. Willie Plett's been in 2 fights, fighting Kurt Fraser and then Ben Wilson, although it was mostly a wrestling match. And referee Terry Gregson has assisted 46 minutes and penalties already in the contest. 3-2 Chicago leading. although they have been outshot 17-7 in this first period. And Murray Bannerman has been very sharp, but also a bit fortunate, as Kirk Giles, a couple of minutes ago, hit the goalpost in behind Bannerman with a great chance to tie it. But Chicago has the 3-2 lead in the game and a 2-1 lead in the series. Minnesota in possession. The puck is tipped out of the reach of Acton. He gets the puck. Keith Acton right in. Bannerman stopped him. The puck is underneath Bannerman as Acton falls over him, being tackled as the puck is underneath Bannerman. He's waiting for them to get off that frame. Bannerman's been outstanding in the game and in the series. And Acton gets up from the pileup after being tackled, and here's another look at it. Acton's been a standout for the North Stars, and that's Jerome DuPont tackling him, and DuPont and Acton fall over Murray Bannerman. So that's the 18th Minnesota shot of the period. Bannerman has played every game of the playoffs. He's only lost one. That was the first game of this series. Don Beaupre is Minnesota's goaltender tonight, his first start of the playoffs. Bannerman, who will be 28 years of age on Saturday from Fort Francis, Ontario. Outstanding junior in Victoria in the Western League, as Acton and Savard face off. 1:46 remaining in the first period. Terry Gregson's the referee tonight, and it's been a stormy first period for him. The roughest period of the series. Scampanello and Bonney are the linesmen. And the crowd thought there could have been a penalty there as the puck is played around on the boards and the Hawks start out. Al Secord, having a strong playoff, scored 2 goals in the 5-3 Chicago win on Tuesday, shooting the puck in, and the Hawks make a line changes. Larmer centered the puck. O'Callahan is number 5, keeping it in. Roberts has lost the stick, so he throws a glove hand pass to number 44, Steve Payne, and that glove hand pass stops the play. The Met Center in Minnesota has a seating capacity of just over 15,000. It's not full, but there's probably 14,000 here tonight. And there's Don Beaupre, the 23-year-old goaltender from Kitchener. Second-round draft choice in 1980, and Denny Savard. Second-round draft choice in 1980, and Denny Savard, who injured his ankle during Game 3 of the series and missed a couple of shifts, but has come back and is skating very well. Scored a great goal in this first period. Has also had 2 assists, so Savard has been in on all 3 Chicago goals in the 3-2 Hawk lead. Number 7 for the North Stars is Neil Broughton. Number 12 for the Blackhawks is Tom Lysiak. Broughton won the draw. As the battle along the boards goes on, as Lysiak kicks the puck loose, picked up back of the net, and Broughton is a very good skater, starts out for Minnesota. He has Ciccarelli on his right. Broughton is slowed up by O'Callahan, who took him to the ice, and the crowd react to that tackle by O'Callahan on Broughton. The Hawks come back. Sutter's going to the front of the net as Lysiak shot wide. We're now in the last minute of the first period. Number 15 for Chicago is Yaremchuk, being checked by Graham, and out comes Broughton again, moving in on Doug Wilson. O'Callahan comes back to help out as Broughton passes it back. Ciccarelli shot wide. As he drilled a high shot off the target, Yaremchuk is back for Chicago. Turning inside the line, watched by Valaschuk as he put the puck to the corner and heads to the bench on a line change. Giles for Minnesota. Tipped off of Graham's stick, 25 seconds left in the period. The shots on goal are 18-7 in favor of the North Stars. Murray Bannerman has been outstanding. He's also had a couple of goal posts to help him out, as Minnesota has had a slight edge in the play and a big edge in the shots, but trail 3-2. And Al Secord, one of the few players involved without a helmet, awaits this face-off in the neutral zone. The crowd here was a little upset on this play by Jack O'Callahan as he stops Neil Broughton. Stop him any way you can. It's been a rather rough first period. In the first minute, we had an exchange with Flett and Fraser in a fight, and Steps getting a roughing minor. And later on, we had a brief fight between Flett and Ben Wilson. There's been 24 minutes and penalties to the North Stars, 22 to the Blackhawks. And each team has been effective on the power play. Chicago has 2 power play goals, and the North Stars have 1. Now we have 14 seconds left in the period. Chicago leading 3-2, leading the series 2-1. Play in the neutral zone with 6 seconds left in the period. Maybe time for a shot here, but Shervin overskates the puck. It's brought back into the neutral zone, and Troy Murray drills it down the ice as the first period comes to an end. Chicago leading 3-2.
And we'll hear more from Jim Robson later in the telecast. Hockey Night in Canada and the Stanley Cup playoffs on CBC return in just a moment.
Molson Canadian. Taste that'll stop ya. Cold.
Why is it that some banks seem to want you to get your money at their convenience?
At Bank of Montreal, we're opening more branches Saturdays. We're installing more Instabanks.
I see this branch is open for business before I am.
We're doing more for you, so you can get your money when you want it.
We are doing more for you at the Bank of Montreal. It's what sets us apart.
I've called in some big ones, but I'm still going for the biggest, Lotto 649.
Cookie and I have had some big wins in our day, but we're still going for the biggest, Lotto 649.
I've had some big wins, so I'm still going for the biggest, Lotto 649.
Lotto 649. Now you're talking a big win. A minimum weekly jackpot of $1 million, and it just keeps getting bigger. Only $1 a ticket.
The top guns at Midas have been in the muffler business for 25 years in Canada. We're celebrating our silver anniversary with the Great Quicksilver Giveaway. You could get a fistful of silver off your muffler job, just like that. Maybe even get it done free. And you could win up to $25,000 in silver. But you gotta be fast like a top gun, because the Midas Quicksilver Giveaway isn't gonna last forever.
Wayne Gretzky scored a pair of goals in that first period tonight, one unassisted and one shorthanded. And the Oilers lead the Winnipeg Jets by a 2-1 score after the first 20 minutes of play. We're going to catch up on other playoff activity around the NHL now and see what's happening. Here are the Islanders leading the Philadelphia Flyers 3-0. The Islanders try to come back. Goals by LaFontaine, Trottier, and Potvin, second period score. Elsewhere, Montreal, a close one against Quebec tonight, 2-1. The Canadians in front. Deblois and Carbonneau for Montreal. Moeller has replied for Quebec there in the third. And you just heard Jim Robson report on the game at the Metropolitan Sports Center. 3-2, the Blackhawks leading the Minnesota North Stars. Hockey Night in Canada on CBC returns in a moment.
Way back, when trains were steam, CN, you were the first to dot and dash your way across the country. Now the simple telegraph has grown. Today you harness satellites and give us power to make our business dealings fast as light. Our nation speaks to nations on your air. You help us talk together with an ease that would have made our fathers dizzy. And today, you run a service that will let a doctor in Vancouver listen to a child's heart beat in the Yukon. That's when we know, CN, just who you're in business for.
At the Winnipeg Arena, the Oilers lead the Winnipeg Jets by a 2-1 score. And throughout this playoff series, we've seen how important the assistant coaches of the two teams have been, and they both are blessed with very capable, knowledgeable hockey men.
Well, we all overlap in everything that we do. I mean, there isn't one guy that has the final say in how we're going to play or how we're going to practice. It's three of us contributing equally.
I'm the head coach and, of course, have the final say in a lot of the decisions if I want it to be that way, but it's more of a democratic coaching staff we have here. For example, I may have different thoughts about a certain player. I talk to the other coaches, and of course, if they feel that possibly that player would be good for that particular game, I might get outvoted 2-1.
The Western world has known democracy since 1776. That's over 200 years. But NHL coaches have known it only since the early 70s. That's when Fred Shiro and Mike Nicola teamed up behind the Flyers bench. And today in this playoff series, every one of the coaches plays a major role in his team's system.
I think it's too much for one man right now. You know, the players are coming up much younger now. They're 18 years old, and a lot of them come to the teams. And a lot of the players really haven't had the teaching that they should have, and I don't think one man can do it.
I'll be watching their bench. I'll let them know who's up, because you can see if the guys are up, they're standing up on the other side. I'll let them know who's up. If we're matching lines, it's very important. But we may have said one line, and all of a sudden we may want to change because they're sitting on a different line. I'll let them know that.
I don't think I would enjoy being an assistant coach and not having the input that I do have in the Edmonton organization. And I think that's why I enjoy it. I'm able to run practices. I'm able to be creative. That's one of Glenn's assets. I think he's just a great administrator, and probably the best administrator I've ever worked for, because he has respect for your talents and he utilizes your talents where other people that I have worked with don't give you that opportunity where Glenn does.
Muckler is more analytical than the rest of us. I think that John breaks down the style of play that the other teams play against us, and then I fit personnel into it. And Teddy's involved in all the decisions. He oversees things from upstairs and analyzes it during the games for both of us.
For one thing, on face-offs, we keep a record of all the face-offs and where they are, what side of the rink they're on. And if one player's having trouble with a particular opponent, then we'll tell Rick, and he'll make a change, or Barry make a change, and try somebody else. And
I think that we do things a lot differently than other teams do, but not a lot of other teams have the personnel that we have.
I think that one person will always have to have the final say or accept the final responsibility whether things went right or wrong. But I would think that you would have to utilize everybody you have in your organization. We've had some difficulties, I think, in the past of one person being the dominant person, do it my way or the highway type affair. And I think that people have to have input into what's going on. We even allow our players to have input into what's going on. We will make the final decisions, but everybody has to feel a part of what we're trying to accomplish here.
Some quality people there behind the benches, men who are worth their weight in golds. Live on CBC, this is Hockey Night in Canada in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
When the night was thick with the snore of sleep, Jimmy Jet's dream made a giant leap to a toy Esso station that came to life with a Jeep and a dog and a shiny red bike. And crash rolled the boy who went with his Teddy to find all the people, but found only Eddie playing near his favorite toy. So he went back to bed and the dreams of a boy. Give your boy or girl something to dream about, too. The Playmobil Esso station for $19.95, and 6 purchases from Esso, you can save $60.
Ford Mercury Price Buster.
Canada, you wanted more time to deal? You got it. Save up to $900 on 85 Escort and Lynx when you choose automatic transmission or flip-up roof, or get over $900 worth of options on 85 Mustang and Capri at no extra cost. Take delivery by April 30th. Make no monthly payments till July 85. Hurry in and save with Ford and Mercury Price Busters.
We can't be outdone at Ford. Quality is job one. In the land of Dairy Queen.
Delicious is part of the landscape, like the Peanut Buster Parfait, layers of Spanish peanuts and hot fudge. Or the smooth delight of the Double Delight, hot fudge and butterscotch topped with crunchy pecan pieces. Or the Dairy Queen Banana Split, a fresh banana rich with the flavor of 3 tasty toppings. Come to where delicious lives.
In the land of Dairy Queen, we treat you right. I was going to a party, I was right on track. I picked up my baby in a pleasure pack. Got to squeeze my friend, said all that. Canadian in the pleasure pack. Oh yeah, it's the Canadian in the pleasure pack. Big bills for you back to back. This my friend, you can bet on that. Yeah, it's the Canadian in the pleasure pack. Big bills for you back to back. Oh yeah.
The National, Canada's most complete package of news from home and around the world. Later tonight, here on CBC. Join us Saturday night for a division final playoff game. 8 p.m. start Eastern Time. Follow the Stanley Cup playoffs on Hockey Night in Canada. 2-1, the Edmonton Oilers lead the Winnipeg Jets after 20 minutes of play. A power play goal by Randy Carlyle after just 53 seconds. But then Wayne Gretzky with 2 goals. The second, a short-handed effort, as the Oilers were killing off a 5-minute major to Charlie Huddy. And despite the fact that the Winnipeg Jets had 9 minutes of power play opportunity, they were only able to outshoot the Oilers 14-10.
Well, what is that, Gary? Is that a combination of a bad power play and great penalty killing, or was it good goaltending, or what?
I think it was a combination of the Jets not executing very well and the Oilers being very aggressive in their penalty killing.
Napier slides it to the corner, leaves it there for Messier, and now the Jets bring it back. Fired in by Boschman, picked up by Lowe. Lowe on the wing for Anderson. He clears the zone. Ellis feeds it to Boschman. Boschman had a little trouble with that bouncing puck. Now he shoots it into Edmonton territory, but it's whistled down on a 2-line pass. Patrick Final, the Islanders now leading Philadelphia by a 4-1 score. Bossy has broken out of a scoring slump for the Islanders. Second period action. And that goal for Mike Bossy, his 82nd career playoff goal, and that ties him with Rocket Richard.
It's about time Mike Bossy got on the score sheet for the Islanders. They need him badly. Those old guys in that hockey club never say die, do they?
You think that the New York Islanders might be reflecting back to 1975 when they lost the first 3 to Pittsburgh?
That was scary. I was there. But then we brought out Kate Smith, and that did it.
Kate who?
The good luck charm. Kate Smith singing God Bless America.
You see here in the second period, Gretzky still against Dean. You know, with all those penalty minutes in the first period, the coaches didn't get a chance to have the matchups going.
Loose puck at the line, and Gretzky starts back. He already has 2 behind his back for Curry. Curry lost it to Picard. Picard gets it to the line, but not out. Now Gretzky goes back at the net, being harassed by Carlyle. Centers it, they score. Curry deflects it. As Gretzky centered it, then Curry deflected it.
You're going to see Gretzky gain control of the puck and just put it in front of the net. Now, again, everybody is attracted and watching Wayne Gretzky perform. Curry is standing in front of the net, and you have to take Curry physically because it's not Gretzky behind the net that's going to score. It's the man cruising around in front of the net in the slot. There's the advantage of standing up and staying in the zone like Huddy did. And just now keep an eye on Curry coming in. Smale is with him, but he doesn't really have him. He lets Curry get in front of him, and before you know it, it's in the net.
Lindholm is knocked down by Huddy. Huddy and Gretzky drew assists on the goal by Jari Kurri at the 54-second mark. A 3-1 game now. The Oilers leading the Winnipeg Jets. The Oilers lead the series 3-0. Gretzky for Kurri, going in. Kurri scores on the rebound.
You know, Barry Long mentioned about second period. Second periods have been the problem with our hockey club here in the playoffs, and it looks like nails starting to be put in the coffin here. I'll tell you what, watch Gretzky, a little bit fancy here, makes a good pass to Kurri right up the middle. The key here is the pass, and then Kurri gets his own rebound. Watch the defenseman go after Kurri. Babbage is sliding now. Look at Babbage. He quit skating. He absolutely quit skating. Kurri just picked up the rebound and put it in the net.
Well, you know, you often question how to play Wayne Gretzky. Now, they shut him down in the LA series by having a man following him all over the place. In this series, they're allowing Gretzky to carry the puck. And what has happened? He's registered 4 points in tonight's game.
Well, it's going to be a goaltending scene. Brian Hayward, who performed so well for this hockey club, got a rounding applause. Mark Barron going to get some action here in the second period.
You wear your style like you wear your smile. So free, so fine, so right. We're a new generation flashing through the night.
Well, you can't blame the goaltender on this play. He makes the save. What are you supposed to do, make 2 or 3 of them? Savage actually stopped skating. If he had gotten there a little bit earlier, they wouldn't have scored on the rebound.
So Mark Barron is in goal as the Jets trail by a 4-1 margin. Krushelnyski working in. Carlisle comes back to take it away, feeds it ahead for Paul McLean. McLean trying to break in, and he's spun around by Melnick. Back to the line. Carlisle winds up. The shot did not get through. Centered by Wilson, knocked down in front of the net, comes back to the line, poked out, and racing back after it is Babbage against Wayne Gretzky.
Well, you know now that the Jet defensemen are going to pinch in every opportunity.
Gretzky moving in, he hit the post. He hung on to that puck, waited for Barron to make a move, and then hit the post. Back comes Turnbull. Across the line, Turnbull working to the corner. He's tied up by Gregg. The puck goes loose behind the net. McClellan and Wilson fight for it. Nill also comes in there. Jim Nill for Winnipeg. Trying to center it. It's deflected to the boards by goaltender Pure. Now the Oilers bring it out. Gary Curry, 2 quick goals here in the second period, giving the Oilers that 4-1 lead. McClellan attempted to center it, and Barron almost had problems with it at his feet.
They're getting a little rough around that goal net. You know, that last play where Gretzky nearly scored, it was a great pass by Gregg to set it up, but when you have Curry and Gretzky going like they are tonight, those defensemen know, just get the puck to them, let them do the job. We look at, again, a little bit of aggressiveness around the goal crease area. That last time, again, Gretzky tried to put it through the legs of Barron, actually did get the puck through and hit the goalpost. Watch again how he holds on to it. He fakes a shot, he controls the puck. Now Barron's going to move out, now Gretzky's going to hold it. Is he going to open his legs? Is he going to open them? Watch him slide it right through. Just got the goalpost. I tell you what, him holding the puck as long as he did there has got to drive a goaltender crazy.
Well, John, I had again talked to Grant Fuhr, and I asked him how he played Gretzky, and he mentioned that he would stay in his net because Gretzky can change his mind so often. And then I asked Gretzky, how would you play against Grant Fuhr? He said, I'd keep going for that 5-hole until he showed me that he could stop me.
And that's exactly what he was doing in the morning skate. He kept going for that 5-0 on Grant Fuhr.
And Fuhr kept stopping him.
Now it's Scott Arneal. Ahead to Kite. Jim Kite trying to center it. It's deflected back to the net. Arneal picks it up, trying to slide it back to the point. Intercepted by the Oilers, and Pozar comes in. Pozar across for Coffey. Coffey couldn't get a shot away. It comes back to the line. But Huddy was out of position, and he had to retreat back into his own zone. The Jets now forced to take a lot of chances as those defensemen will be pinching in. They trail by 3. For Messier. Messier slides it across. An open goal mouth picked up in the corner by Coffey. He takes the shot. That's deflected out into the slot, and Arneal brings it back. For Boschman. Boschman at the line, shoots it into the Edmonton zone. 16:27 remaining in the second period. Edmonton in front by a score of 4-1. It was 2-1 after 20 minutes. Loose puck in the center ice area. Smale couldn't control it, and Charlie Huddy brings it out for Edmonton. To Paul Coffey. He dodges Smale. A rink-wide pass for Anderson, and now here's a breakaway for Smale. Smale's going in. He fired it wide. He tried to center it, and Fuhr covers up. Doug Smale has had 3 great scoring opportunities in this game. This is Hockey Night in Canada on CBC.
Thanks, Kathy.
Hey, Harry, 4X.
Boy, that Kathy was just my type.
Oh, yeah. It's all right, Harry. We'll tell Susan on it.
Keep on getting together. You keep on having your fun. You keep on drinking your export.
I think I'll call a cab.
Not without us. Cause it keeps on taking place.
Now, that must be very frustrating for the Winnipeg Jets because they've had glorious scoring opportunities, and here's Smale one-on-one. It looks like he has Grant Fuhr. Tries to go high right up against the glass. That's been the difference. The Oilers capitalize on their chances. The Jets do not. John, how difficult is it for Barron to come into a game without a warm-up?
I don't think it's too difficult whatsoever. He's been through the situation here late in the season. He did it in Calgary late in the season. He got thrown into the the lion's den, so to speak, during the playoffs. He performed very well, and he's been working very, very hard on practice. In practice, they keep him out extra to do a little extra work. He did it again today. And I think it's a playoff situation, Gary. That adrenaline flows all the time, even if you're sitting on the bench.
Napier racing down the left side against Babbitt. Babbitt comes up with the puck, plays it back to the net, but Messier was in position. Out front for Napier. He's put it wide. Great chance for Mark Napier, and he has really blossomed in the playoffs for the Edmonton Oilers. He was acquired in January in trade with the Minnesota North Stars. Now Anderson, as this line is exerting pressure for the Oilers. Back to the line, Lowe trying to keep it in. It's poked out to center ice by Wilson. Now Carlisle takes over.
So on that last play where Napier didn't get the shot on goal, Barron moved across with him, did not make the first move, and that's why Napier lost the puck off the end of the stick.
Brought in by Turnbull, offside.
Mark Napier, a little upset with himself. He had a great scoring chance. Nobody checking him when he got control of the puck in front of the goaltender, but Barron moved there and stood there, and Napier was forced to make that first move. It's a different situation. Mark Napier is a left-handed shot playing the right wing, and he went to his backhand on the play, couldn't control it.
Well, the Oilers find different ways of destroying you. In Game 3, it was Mark Messier's line that did all the damage. Tonight, it's been Wayne Gretzky and his line mates.
Gretzky, a 4-point night so far, 2 goals and 2 assists. Doug Smale, a Moose Jaw native, dropping it back into his own zone. Krushelnyski got there, and he fired it, and Barron got a piece of it, and Barron, backing up, knocked the net off its mooring.
Well, Krushelnyski is really coming on strong. John Muckler mentioned this morning Game 3 was his best game of the series. What he shows you is a lot of strength and puck-carrying ability. You just cannot knock that puck off him. He has such good control, and that time Barron got his shoulder on it and knocked it into the glass. Good effort by Krushelnyski.
You know, Mike Krushelnyski has been better with the puck, Gary, as you just mentioned, than he has without it. They wanted to try and get him to check a little bit better, take the body better. But once he does get control of it, he's so big and strong and has that long reach. And there you can see how he got in on Barron. Now, Barron's had a little luck here early. Maybe things are going to start to bounce the Winnipeg Jets' way.
Picard, back of his own goal, looking for Lundholm. Long lead pass too far, but Pure has to come out of his net to play it. Cleared to center ice. Picked up there by Krushelnyski. He can't go anywhere with it. And Picard tries to organize something again as he dumps it back to Ellett. Ellett returns it to Picard. Good forechecking by the Oilers, forcing the Jets back into their own zone. Loose puck at the line. Curry had to wait for Krushelnyski. And he didn't wait long enough. A delayed offside call against Edmonton. 14:08 is the time remaining in the second period.
B.F. Goodrich TA Radios update. Car and Driver magazine called the B.F. Goodrich CompTA the best performing radial money can buy. Trucks deliver remarkable traction and performance with radial all-terrain TAs. All cars handle better with the B.F. Goodrich Advantage all-season TA. No matter what you drive, there's a TA radial for you. TA radials, now on sale at B.F. Goodrich tire centers and participating dealers.
There you see the score, 4-1 in favor of the Oilers. You know, this game hasn't been near as physical as Game 3, fellas, and I think a lot of it has to do with the soreness of the Winnipeg Jets.
Long drive that Barron steers to the corner. Lindstrom playing it back of the goal. Jim Kite races in for Winnipeg for Scott Arneal. A lead pass that Nill knocked down but could not control. Now Coffey is forced back of his own goal. He was looking into the center ice area for Lindstrom with a breakaway pass. It was knocked down, but Lindstrom gets it again. Lindstrom on his backhand. Out for Hunter. Hunter a backhand shot, and Barron makes the save. Coffey plays it to the corner. Hunter picks it up there, working against Kite. Arneal also comes in. Arneal finally clears it. Pass went off Boschman, picked up by the Oilers, and Coffey brings it in across the line. A rink-wide pass broken up by Arneal. 13-12 remaining in this second period. 4-1 the score in favor of Edmonton. Paul Coffey now breaking in. He shoots the save by Barron, and he covers up.
Jim Kite is going to find himself in the penalty box. Coffey upset, throwing punches at somebody now. But Kite broke the blade of his stick over Paul Coffey's ankle before Coffey had the scoring chance, and the referee had his arm up. Koharski was signaling a penalty to Kite, so that's the initial penalty. What he's going to call after that, I don't know, but whoa, did he hit a two-hander over the ankle of Paul Coffey.
Live on CBC, Hockey Night in Canada.
Hi, everybody. 15,000 silver.
19 gold. 27 oil.
35 gold. Harry! I've got to buy Lotario.
Popular choice. Ontario's favorite lottery.
A great buy.
Over 100,000 winners every week. And all cash prizes.
And the jackpot keeps going up.
That's why I never forget to buy.
Oh, really? Who was that?
I don't know.
Well, just as the players were moving to their respective benches, something developed again, and they went at it.
Tell you what, fellas, out on the ice right now is McClelland and Nill. McClelland throws him left-handed. He really gave it to Jim Nill. Nill and McClelland started going at each other, and as they were ready to square off, Boschman came in from behind. He started throwing punches to Kevin McClelland, but McClelland surprises a lot of people in this league because he throws it with his left arm, and he really won the decision from Jim Nill.
This all started with Paul Coffey breaking in, taking a shot, and then Coffey and Tim Waters were in a scrap behind that Winnipeg net. Now Jim Nill is going off. Kevin McClelland will also be going off.
He's heading right for the dressing room.
And don't forget, Jim Kite was the original person that was going to be called for a penalty as he broke his stick right over the ankle of Paul Coffey.
Now with the Stanley Cup update again, here's Brian McFarland. All right, the Montreal Canadiens have scored again at the Quebec Coliseum. Robinson with the puck into Curvers. Watch Tremblay in the slot. And he chip shots it off the post behind Gosselin. 3-1 Montreal, third period score. Well, referee Don Koharski over at the timekeeper's bench. Edmonton leading 4-1. A big night for Wayne Gretzky. 2 goals, 2 assists. And the penalties being assessed.
One thing you can say for the Winnipeg Jets, they certainly stuck together during that last little break, as actually both teams did. It's a 4-1 score, but Winnipeg have played as a team all season long, and they grew together, and they played so well together, and they appear to, even though it is 4-1, they want to stay as a tight group.
Well, the next hurdle is going to be the most difficult for the Winnipeg Jets. They're a very good hockey club, but to extend or to go to a higher level, they have to beat the Stanley Cup champions, and that's very difficult to do.
The penalties now being assessed. Tim Waters drawing a 5-minute fighting penalty. Paul Coffey drawing a 5-minute fighting penalty. McClelland 5 minutes for fighting and a game misconduct. And Jim Nill of Winnipeg 5 minutes for fighting and a game misconduct. And the initial penalty on the play to Jim Kite of the Winnipeg Jets, a 2-minute slashing penalty.
It's interesting to see or to hear those penalties the way they've called them, that there's going to be game misconducts to both Nill and McClelland. Watch this two-hander by Kite as he's trying to get a Paul Coffey, but look at that. I tell you, he took a shot at him, and that's exactly what got the tempers flared during that last play.
Well, while we have a moment and the coaches sort out what lines they're going to send out there, a reminder that this program is copyrighted and is strictly for the private use of our audience. Any reproduction, retransmission, distribution, or exhibition in whole or in part without the express written consent of the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation is strictly prohibited. 13:01, the time remaining in the second period. 4-1. The Oilers lead the Winnipeg Jets. They lead the series 3-0.
I'm talking to Bill Sutherland this morning. He said, one thing, even in losing the first 3 games, some of the things we learned is that you can't fool around. at both blue lines with the Edmonton Oilers, and you can't chase guys around behind in the net because they have so much speed, and also you just can't back over that blue line. And those are some of the things that the Jets as a team really have to work on.
Well, the one goal, Huddy kept the puck in because Lundholm didn't get it over the blue line. Huddy took advantage of it. They fired the puck back in, and Curry scored, and that started the second period. You're right, Gary, a bad play at the blue line. This time it was by Lundholm.
Low for Curry. He drops it in. Randy Gregg races to the corner, gets it behind the net. Krushelnyski trying to slide it out front. Picked off by Lundholm and cleared. It was 2-1 Edmonton at the end of one. A pair of goals in the first by Wayne Gretzky, and Gretzky in the second very early, setting up a pair of goals by line mate Jari Kurri. Randy Gregg works to the corner. He's bodied by Carlisle. Loose puck picked up by Carlisle, kept in at the point by Curry. He goes to the other side, low, fanned on it as he attempted to shoot it to the corner. Carlisle brings it back. He fires it into the Edmonton zone. Fuhr plays it to the boards. Back of the net now, Kevin Lowe for Curry. Curry, a pass intended for Gretzky, too far.
Winnipeg have one style of penalty killing, and that's put pressure on the puck. You see them continue to do it.
Deflected wide by Curry as Gretzky centered it. It comes back into the slot. Babbitt picks it up, and he clears it out of the zone. 11:51 remaining in this second period. Gretzky with Anderson. Gretzky with a drive. The save. They score on the rebound. Anderson. And Gretzky has 5 points on the night.
There's the congratulations for the Edmonton Oilers as they continue to pile it on. Boy, are they skating. Top speed and the ability to make plays at top speed. But just watch how Gretzky continues to go into the openings, just deflects it by Babbage, and away goes. Keep an eye on Anderson. He's constantly heading for that net. He out-muscles Babbage for the rebound. That should never happen.
Well, it's two defensemen here, Gary, and they have to switch. Ellett comes across, Babbage doesn't stay with his person properly, and Anderson is very good at picking up those loose pucks just like that. And he just simply put it in the open side. You can't blame the goaltender on the play. Babbage, his personality is not to be that aggressive. He has to be aggressive if you're going to be a big, strong defenseman in this league. Listen, the guy's got great offensive talent. He's a good person, but you have to play aggressive, and he's not doing it.
Gretzky and Lowe drawing assists on Anderson's third goal, and it's a 5-1 game. Wade Campbell from the corner, trying to move out. He has it poked away, and the Oilers go to the attack again. Drop pass for Messier on the wing. Anderson with a shot. It bounces high and is picked up by Scott Arneal. The Jets unable to get it out of there as Napier picks off the pass at the blue line.
Well, when the Edmonton Oilers coaches talk about the team getting stronger and stronger, this is a good example of what they're talking about.
It seems, I'm sure, for the Winnipeg Jets that the Oilers are just coming at them wave after wave. 5-1 the score. Edmonton breaking it open here in the second period.
What Edmonton is doing, which they didn't do properly in the past, is their defensemen are not taking chances right now. They're just simply moving the puck up. The forwards are getting the job done. Edmonton, it didn't matter what the score was in days past, used to take all those crazy chances. Watch the discipline.
Willie Lindstrom shoots it in. Aaron plays it back at the net for Ron Wilson. Against some pressure, he has to go to the other side. It's dumped out into the center ice area. Now Kozar for Willie Lindstrom. Lindstrom taken out of the play by Ellett, and it's dumped to the line where Ron Wilson feeds it over on the wing to Picard. Picard with a long drive.
Fellas, this all started with a body shot by Ellett. As they knocked Lindstrom off the puck, they turned the puck. See against the boards there, Ellett had already knocked Lindstrom down. Now they turn the puck over, get offensive. And a great shot off the goal post by Picard. The defenseman tried to get out of the way so that Fuhr will not be screened on it. Now Picard made it a better angle by moving to his left, off the goal post.
You notice that Kevin Lowe tried to get that stick in front of the puck that he deflected in the crowd. Just was a little late in doing that, but he backed in, and Picard took advantage of it by blasting one by Fuhr.
Murray Eaves and Ron Wilson drawing assists on Picard's goal at 9:50. Gretzky across the line for Semenko. A shot goes wide.
Lundholm picks it up off the board. Coming back for Winnipeg. Lundholm drops it over for Smale. Smale flips it back at the Edmonton goal where Gretzky has it. 9:42 remaining in the second period. A loose puck in the corner. Lundholm bumps with Fogelin, but Fogelin comes up with the puck. Kept in by Smale for Lundholm. Lundholm fakes the shot. Looking for someone to pass to. He's tied up, and Curry gets it ahead to Gretzky. Gretzky has figured in all 5 Edmonton goals. Gretzky breaking in with Semenko. He fired it wide. Semenko gets it again. Looking for Gretzky. He hit the post, and the puck came back out between the legs of Barron. Tonight's game on CBC is coming to you from Winnipeg.
Okay, guys, what are we doing for my birthday? Well, we thought we'd just take you down to RJ's for beer. But it's my birthday. So?
Should have told us sooner.
Thanks, guys. I love surprises.
That was great. RJ, bring him the bill.
Nice.
Wayne Gretzky's been on fire in this hockey game. 2 goals, 3 assists. That last goal by the Winnipeg Jets was on their first shot of the period. So they made sure it went in, but it took 9 minutes and 50 seconds before they got that shot. Turnbull across the line, lost control of it, and the Oilers are led by Messier. He swings it over for Anderson. It's fired back at the Winnipeg net. Barron stops it there for Picard. Long lead pass for Turnbull. Turnbull had to turn around to pick it up or he had a breakaway. To Boston, a shot was saved by Fuhr. Turnbull whacks it in front of the net, and Boston is tied up. Kite takes the shot. It bounces off a stick to the corner. Loose puck as Kite comes in from the point to poke it to the corner. Now it's dumped down the ice by Edmonton, and this will produce an icing call.
One thing about the Winnipeg Jets, they continue to battle, and now they're trying to take the play to the Edmonton Oilers. And even though Laurie Bachman has not got a point in this series, the effort has certainly been there. He's been grinding it out, and he looks like a very tired player because he has seen a lot of ice time for the Jets.
He certainly is. You know, he started out as a goaltender when he was a youngster. At the age of 8, he decided that's enough of that nonsense. Get out and play forward. Certainly has a big heart, worked hard. He's playing under very adverse conditions because he plays such a physical style of the game. I think there are a number of players in this game who, if they were in a regular season game, would probably be out of the lineup with the hurt some of them have. Loose puck as Ronnie Wilson tries to dig it out of the corner with help from Paul McLean. It's loose at the side of the net, up along the boards. Babbitt pinches in. And finally, it's dumped out by the Oilers. Racing back after it is Dave Ellett. Pass picked off by Pozar. He shoots it in. And it's cleared by Winnipeg, but it hit a linesman. Dumped back in by Edmonton, but the Jets come back. McLean at the line, and it's offside.
While Wayne Gretzky enjoys his finest night of this year's playoffs, let's check the other scores. Islanders over Philadelphia 4-1. They're in the third period now. Montreal leading Quebec 3-1, also in the third. And Chicago holding that 3-2 lead over Minnesota in the second period.
Don, interesting to see that the Islanders went away from Billy Smith and Kelly Rudy playing goal, and he seems to be shutting down the Flyers tonight. Well, the Winnipeg Jets in this game have lost 2 players. Here's Picard with a shot off the glass and high.
You know, from now until the rest of the game, you're going to see the Jet defensemen really take chances and try to penetrate the zone, look for an opportunity of getting that good shot on net. And this is just what the Oilers are looking for, is to try to take advantage for a 3-on-1 break.
I mentioned that the Jets have lost 2 players. Mullen was hurt when hit by that stick in the area of the eye in the first period, and Nil drawing the game misconduct. So the Jet ranks, already thin, are depleted even more. Steen for Lundholm. Lundholm breaking in.
couldn't get the shot away as Coffey came back to tie him up. He was off balance working against Coffey, and the shot went wide. Quick drive by Hunter as Lindstrom was cruising through there, and it's held by Barron. This is Stanley Cup 85 on CBC.
Ford's got the best sales increase of the big three. Starting at Oakville, if we lined up all of our new vehicles sold in Toronto this year, you'd be looking at an impressive lineup that stretches right along Bloor Street, over the viaducts, right through Toronto, through Oshawa, and far beyond. Toronto now get Ford's 5-year DuraGuard warranty on all our 85 cars.
Toronto, we can't be outdone. At Ford, quality is top one. Quality is top one.
We're exactly halfway through the second period in Minnesota. The Chicago Blackhawks are leading the Minnesota North Stars 3-2, although Minnesota has outshot Chicago 29-9. All the scoring in the opening period, Larmer, Savard, and Olczyk for Chicago, as 3 times they took the lead. Ron Wilson and Valisic scoring for Minnesota, but it's still 3-2 for the Blackhawks halfway through the second period. That's a rather amazing statistic, 29-9 in shots on goal.
Yeah, shots on net don't mean a thing, do they? Just goals.
And it's interesting to see, you talk about goaltenders, that Minnesota started Beaupre, Don Beaupre tonight, after Meloche had played all the playoff minutes. I'm not sure. I think they should have stayed. You know, it's hindsight now, of course, but Meloche had played so well for them. Why make a change? Unless, of course, there may be an injury involved.
Babbage to Arneal. Arneal across the line, poking it to the corner. Arneal gets it again, then loses it as he's bodied by Melnick. Zemenko trying to move back out of there, and the play is whistled down as it was knocked down by a high stick.
You know, this morning I had an opportunity to talk to Gretzky and ask him about Grant Fuhr. One thing Gretzky mentioned is how good Fuhr is for the hockey club. He doesn't complain when a bad goal goes by him. He doesn't point fingers at anybody, and he just stands in there and plays his game and does it so very effectively. And Andy Moog, I guess when he first came to the Oilers, had a tendency to blame people when the puck went himself rather than his own, but he took a page out of Grant Fuhr's book, and now both of them are very satisfied and very capable of doing the job in the net.
Those puck picked up by Paul McLean. Back to Babbage, he shoots it in. McLean racing to the corner, gets it for Wilson, a backhand.
Puck is simply directed towards Grant Fuhr. They win the battle in the corners. It's a 2-on-1 now. Look at the room Wilson shot. He just fires it in, deflected it off of Paul Coffey, right through the legs of Grant Fuhr. Both defensemen out front. Now, did you see where the goaltender Fuhr was moving across? He thought that was going to be a pass, and that wasn't Coffey. It was Randy Gregg that deflected the puck, but Fuhr was moving to one side, thinking pass. It changed directions and caught him.
Babbage and McLean draw assists on Ron Wilson's 4th goal of the playoffs at the 14-minute mark. Allen flips the shot towards the goal, and it's knocked down in front by Kevin Lowe. The Jets applying pressure. Loose puck in the corner. McLean trying to dig it out. Wilson is in there as well. So is Kevin Lowe. McLean comes up with it. McLean back to the line. Picard one-times it. And Fuhr made the save with Murray Eves setting up a screen. Now Napier comes back. At the line, he gets away from Ellett. He takes a backhand shot. It went off the leg to the corner. Picked up by Messier. He tried to spin around and let a shot go. It was knocked down, and Murray Eves starts back. Lead pass for McLean. Broken up in the center ice area, but Picard steals it. Picard with a shot, and Fuhr has it between his pads.
Well, Glenn Sather, when the score was 4-1, he thought he had things well in hand, and then the Oilers made it 5-1. He thought he was on the way to an easy victory, but the crowd here has responded. They're getting the Jets going, and boy, you can never count the Jets out. That's why you respect them and admire their tenacity.
You know, you have to wonder if it's a good chance for Glenn Sather to perhaps use a timeout here. The Jets have 2 quick goals. They've broken the 5-3. And the fans are on their feet making a lot of noise. Things starting to go in the direction of the Jets. Use those timeouts to your advantage. Boy, oh boy, these Winnipeg Jets, we mentioned in the opening about the honesty of Barry Long, the tenacity of John Ferguson, the toughness of John Ferguson. The team just seems to ooze the confidence of those players, and they're certainly fighting back.
I think it's very important also Barron has to shut the gate. He can't allow any more in his net, and he's made several outstanding saves.
Now it's Huddy. Into the corner for Coffey. Lead pass went off Krushelnyski into the Winnipeg zone. Waters races back after it. Waters leaves it in the corner for Lundholm. Up along the boards for Thomas Steen with Doug Smale. He shoots it into the corner. Fuhrer is forced to play it. Steen gets it. He takes the shot right on. A spin-around shot by Smale. That just went wide. Loose puck as Lundholm and Krushelnyski raced for it. The Edmonton player got there first. It's brought down to the Winnipeg line, then dumped back out. Now it's Smale across the line, waiting for someone to catch up with the play. And finally, Huddy pokes it out into the center ice area. Now Waters and Krushelnyski go to the corner. The puck is loose there. Jim Kite plays it up along the glass and over, out of play. With a Stanley Cup update. Again, let's join Brian McFarland. The Chicago Blackhawks have had only 10 shots on goal, but they score here on their 4th goal of the game from Lysiak from Larmer. Against the flow of the play, there's Lysiak spinning around and putting it past Beaupre. 4-2, second period score. And Montreal continues to lead Quebec 3-1 in the third, 5-3. Edmonton leads Winnipeg with 3:58 left in the second.
So in my imagination, or for the last 5 minutes, if the Oilers just really stopped skating, it looks like they're really hanging on right now. They're not playing their games.
Give Winnipeg some credit there, too. They certainly didn't fold up the tent and say, let's head for the camping. Let's get this thing going.
Absolutely.
They really played with some heart.
Laurie Boschman across the line. Boschman for Arneal. He was looking for Babbage. It went wide. Out front for Arneal. He couldn't get a stick on it. And it's taken to the boards by Curry. 3-on-2. Drop pass for Gretzky. Gretzky slides it across. Loose puck as Hunter was tied up, and back comes Winnipeg. Led by Arneal. To Boschman. Boschman takes the shot. It goes off the leg to the corner. Now Gretzky starts back for Edmonton. Another 3-on-2 with Curry for Curry. He shoots the save by Barron. Gretzky, even though he was down, hooked the puck out front, but there was nobody in position. 3 minutes remaining in the second. 5-3, Edmonton leading Winnipeg. Good action here in the second period. The Oilers jumped into a 5-1 lead, but the Jets have come back with 2 goals. Centered by Gretzky, picked off by Arneal. He overskated it. The Oilers get it again. Anderson lost it, but Napier fired it back of the Winnipeg net. 2:35, the time left in the second. As Eves comes out with Arneal. Arneal shoots it into the Edmonton zone, and the Jets change. And this crowd certainly has come alive following those 2 goals by the Jets. Lead pass, too far for McLean. It flies into the Edmonton zone, and Fuhrer out of his net plays it around in the boards. Steen fanned on the shot, and it's cleared by Edmonton. The 2-line pass from Picard to McLean produces a whistle. 2:01, time remaining in the second period.
Esso Motor Oils. Tested on the longest road in the world, where the heat can fry you, or the cold freeze you solid. That road begins here at the Esso Research Center, where Esso Motor Oils are driven to the limits to give you the great engine defense you want. Efficient engine performance, longer engine life. Where does this road end? For Esso, it never does. It's coming through for you that makes us better.
Tonight on Hockey Legends.
Bobby Orr talks with Punch and Luck about his building of the Buffalo Sabres and his memories of over 30 years in professional hockey. Later tonight in the second intermission.
Play just underway. A loose puck in the center ice area. Waters goes back into his own zone. He clears it. Now the Oilers come back. Krushelnyski trying to slide it in front. Gets it again after it went off Waters. But now it goes to the corner where Steen plays it to the other side for Jim Kite. Kite dumps it into the center ice area. Mail for Winnipeg. Across the line trying to go around Coffey. Coffey ties him up and takes the puck away from him. And finally it's dumped down the ice. Willie Lindstrom and Jim Kite race back after it. Kite banged it off the boards, picked up by Huddy. He tried to center it. Now Hunter has it. Hunter on his backhand, slides it in front. Nobody in position. Steen banks it off the boards and down the ice with 1:07 remaining in the period. Another update on Brian Mullen. He has gone to the hospital. They're having a specialist examine his eye, and that's the latest news on young Brian Mullen.
Mullen was hit in the eye with a stick in the first period. Curry across the line with Gretzky. Gretzky centers it for Hunter. He couldn't get his stick on it. Loose puck along the boards in the Winnipeg zone. 44 seconds left in the period. Brought out now by Arneal. He shoots it in. 5-3 is the score. Edmonton leading. Arneal gets the puck in the corner for Boston. And Fuhr makes the save.
Great save by Grant Fuhr. Just 32 seconds left in the second period. Arneal dug the puck out of the corner, and Boschman gave him a target. And Boschman had a little trouble controlling that rather firm pass. And Fuhr doesn't like to sit back in the net. He came right out and just stripped Boschman. Now look at Arneal dig it out. Boschman comes in, little trouble controlling it. See that? And Fuhr was able to take advantage of that little miscue and that little bit of trouble with Boschman handling the puck, and he controlled it himself. Grant Fuhr with a big save and a good play. Arneal just found him quickly, and again they turned that play from going from the defense to the offense so quickly. Big save.
Well, the Oilers talk about Grant Fuhr and how time and time again when they have a lapse in their own end, he comes up with that big save, and they don't come any bigger than that. Because if the Jets would have scored another one, Don, going into that third period, only one goal behind.
See that little blue collar he has around his neck? That now comes as part of goaltenders' long johns or sweat tops if you want. And that throat protector has certainly helped a lot of young goaltenders become much braver.
From the face-off, Ellis lines up his shot, hit a stick. McCarr to the corner, centering it. A jam up in front of the net. McLean trying to dig it out and move out. He has it poked away. A backhand shot slides to the goal mouth. McLean battling there with Grant Fuhr. It goes to the corner again. Wilson has it. Wilson along the boards, bodied by Gregg. The loose puck finally brought out by the Oilers. Hunter into the center ice area, couldn't go anywhere with it. Messier following on the play, a long drive, the save by Barron, and that's the end of the second period.
Mark Barron came in, did the job. He allowed the one goal, but he certainly has an air of confidence about him. That hard work and practice paid off. A good move to make the change of goaltenders from Brian Hayward to Mark Barron. It's a little late for the Winnipeg Jets. This game is a long ways from over.
Absolutely. 2 goals is not an unsurmountable amount, and I think the Jets, with that same type of forechecking tenacity, can certainly come back. We're in for a good third period.
So it's a 5-3 game after 40 minutes of play. Edmonton in front, and now let's go to the Met Center in Minnesota and Jim Robson.
Just over 5 minutes left to play in the second period. The Chicago Blackhawks are leading the Minnesota North Stars 4-2. In Game 4 of the North Division Final, Chicago leading the series and leading this game, although being outshot by a wide margin. The shots on goal are 34-10 in favor of Minnesota. But Murray Bannerman, who's played every game in the playoffs for the Hawks, has been outstanding, to say the least. And it's been a rough game for referee Terry Gregson. He's already assessed 65 minutes in penalties, and he's going to assess some more, as there was a little mix-up on the ice, although no fisticuffs. We've had a few fights, including one in the very first minute of the game, as Willie Plett fought with Kurt Fraser. Later on, Plett fought with Ben Wilson. Ben Wilson got involved with Dirk Graham in another scrap. So it's been a rough hockey game, and Minnesota have had a good edge in the play, but are trailing 4-2. Chicago have goals from Steve Larmer, Denny Savard, who's also had a couple of assists, and Ed Olchek. The only goal of the second period by Tom Lysiak. Minnesota goals by Ron Wilson and Randy Valachek. Well, there were just misconduct penalties assessed in the last exchange as after a lot of talking involving Richter and Ben Wilson, nothing came of that, and Gregson handed out misconducts with 4:47 left in the second period. Chicago controlling the puck. Denny Savard has had a strong game, comes down the middle with Secord on his left, to pass to Secord in front, and Beaupre scooped the puck off the ice, and he hasn't had much to do in this game. That's only his 11th shot. The Montreal Canadiens have just defeated the Quebec Nordiques 3-1. So that series is all tied at 2 wins apiece, and they switch back to Montreal for Game 5. As you look at some activity in front of the Minnesota goal, and there hasn't been much activity there in this hockey game, especially in the second period. That's only the 5th shot on goal by Chicago in the second period, and the period is almost over. Richter and Ben Wilson were given misconducts at 14:58, so they won't be around for the next 10 minutes. As Gregson was getting a little tired of their talking and threatening and pulled them out for 10. Beaupre getting his first start of the playoff. Gilles Malache had started the others. There's J.P. Parise on the left, and the coach of the North Stars, Glenn Sonmore, must be concerned. His team down by 2 and carrying so much of the play, but very frustrated by Bannerman and the Hawks. During the regular season, in their 8 meetings, Chicago won 4 and Minnesota won 3, and there was 1 tie, and here in Minnesota, the Hawks had the edge. 2 wins to 1 with a tie. Lysiak and Broughton facing off. Cicerelli moved offside. They're line up the game as Campanella will drop the puck eventually. And we've had quite a few discussions like this as Broughton is now waved out of the circle. Cicerelli goes in against Lysiak. And Cicerelli wins the draw to Ron Wilson. Yaremchuk dug it out along the boards for the Hawks. Back to the line, and DuPont missed it. Cicerelli and DuPont racing after the puck. Cicerelli chopped DuPont down, and the play is called for an offside at the blue line.
4-2 Chicago. We'll hear from Jim Robson again a little later on. Stay tuned for Bobby Orr and the Hockey Legends tonight. Punch Imlach Part 2. And so the score at the end of the second period in Winnipeg is Edmonton 5, Winnipeg 3. Stay tuned for our second intermission.
At Flax, you can save money on your color print. At Flax, you can save money on your color prints. When you choose Black's processing included film, you get quality fine grain color film and Black's bigger, better color prints. All included for one low price.
What?
It's a super way to save money because your color prints are included when you buy this film. Black's film with color prints included. It's their best deal. Am I right? Yes, I'm right. And one more way. Black is photography.
I adore my 64, my Commodore 64. I sing with it, write with it, figure my path of flight with it, my Commodore 64. I rate with it, create with it, telecommunicate with it, my Commodore 64.
Now, for under $250, you can buy a Commodore 64. For complete details, see your authorized Commodore dealer.
I adore my 64, my Commodore 64.
Listen, if you plan to buy new furniture, a waterbed, major appliance, TV, video, or stereo this year, I want you to plan right now to join thousands of bargain hunters Friday from noon until 10 at the Brick Warehouse, every location. The Brick Warehouse. Incredible half-price in-store warehouse sale Friday, noon till 10. Regular inline inventory, all of it reduced. Warehouse discontinued one-of-a-kind stocks, savings up to 40, 50, even 60% off.
In times past, only the wealthy could afford a 4-head cable-ready VCR with multi-event programming and a dockable remote control with channel change. However, JVC has just announced a breakthrough in top-quality video, the new HRD 150, a remarkable VCR for practically everyone at an extremely remarkable price. The HRD 150 from JVC.
Good evening. The Anglican Archbishop of Toronto has compared former Ontario Premier Bill Davis to Adolf Hitler. Archbishop Bill Garnsworthy, upset over the way Davis extended full funding to Roman Catholic schools, said it was the way Hitler acted, by decree. An infuriated Premier Frank Miller said he hopes the Archbishop will apologize. The Deschênes Inquiry, looking for evidence of war criminals living in Canada, has been offered a list of 500 names. The Simon Wiesenthal Center says the 500 are documented war criminals, and all are still living in Canada. The truck that spilled PCBs in northwestern Ontario is back on the road. This time, it has a police escort as it heads to a toxic waste dump in Alberta. It left behind $1 million cleanup bill. And a look at Vietnam 10 years after the fall of Saigon with our correspondent, Dawn Murray. We'll have more on these and on other stories later tonight on The National. But now, back to Hockey Night in Canada.
Bobby Orr and the Hockey Legend is brought to you by Planter's Nut, the legend of quality and freshness. Tonight, from Couples Resort in Jamaica, the legend of George Punch and Lack, Part 2.
There are great prizes to be won in the Stack and Win sweepstakes. When you buy these fresh-tasting Planter's Nuts and delicious Lowney snacks, you could win $5,000 cash, one of 10 Mitsubishi VCRs, and one of 2 incredible Ford Tempos, all in the Planters Lowney's Snack and Win sweepstakes.
Punch Imlach's first 10 years in the National Hockey League were good ones, as he led the Toronto Maple Leafs to 4 championships. But as the 60s ended, so did Imlach's association with the Toronto organization. He received several offers from other NHL clubs, but chose to accept the challenge of the expansion Buffalo Sabres.
I guess there's a few reasons. One of them, certainly, I had been always told that when I got the Toronto team, they were already made up, and I was fortunate to inherit it, you know. I said, all right, this would be a chance to start from zip, nobody. And Buffalo did own 2 players, and neither one of them had ever played or came close to playing in the National Hockey League, so you're starting from scratch. I'm close enough to Toronto, and Stafford had some things to say, and of course one of them was that I was too old to run a hockey club. Secondly, that I wouldn't win a game. So I'm a competitor. Stuff it down his throat. That was the story.
Your approach to hockey in Buffalo was a lot different than in Toronto.
Well, in the first expansion, teams used to come into Toronto and they play kitty by the door. There was no action, and of course this is the only way, I suppose, that they could, because after all, you were not getting the best hockey players. You're getting hockey players that everybody else wanted. So I said, when that happens in Buffalo, I'm going to try to get hockey players that are going to sell the game. I'm going to get some color. I'm going to try and get some quality players, and we'll build through the draft. And of course, we got Perreault, who was very colorful and very talented. And we got Crozier, who had won the Conn Smythe Trophy in the playoffs for being the most valuable player. And we got Reggie Fleming, who was a character and a tough kid, and he put the show on the road. And then, of course, we ended up halfway through the season, got Eddie Shack, and I think Eddie does more for hockey in those days than anybody else, and we filled the rink after he arrived.
With that approach, Imlach was able to lead the Sabres into the 1975 Stanley Cup Final, losing in 6 games to Philadelphia. Overall, Imlach spent more than 30 years in professional hockey, and his influence on the sport is reflected by the large number of his former players who followed him into management positions.
Punch was a very strong individual. He'd come in there and kick a few people around, and he always had a few gimmicks to get the players going, and he certainly worked the team very, very hard, and the players responded to him.
He motivated us because he was with us all the time. He was honest, he was fair, and he was tough, and he had that something in him that he knew you were going to win. That's how he motivated us.
Who do you consider the most colorful player you've ever seen?
Well, Perreault was very colorful. He's super talented, of course. He could do things that... Horton used to tell me that he used to have an extra shift. Of course, he practiced against him. He said, I think I got him. He said, all of a sudden I haven't. He's got another shift. He says, to throw at me. And I'd seen him play, and I consider myself fortunate that I was with Buffalo, that I saw this kid play every game. The other colorful man was Shaq, and of course he had enough talent because he was a National Leaguer, and he didn't have near the talent that Perro had, but he could excite the crowd, and you could use Shacky, as I had mentioned before. And when I threw him out in the ice, it was usually because we were playing listlessly or something, and he would wake up the other team because they never knew what he was going to do, and he woke up our team because he would run into our guys. So they had to keep their heads up, too. And the game would just change over as soon as he hit the ice. Yeah. But he was a great man for exciting the crowd and getting things going for you.
Would you consider your greatest achievement and your biggest disappointment?
Well, I guess the greatest achievement is winning the 4 Stanley Cups. But you also got to realize that I've been able to do things that all my life in hockey, which I wanted to be, where a lot of people don't get the chance to do what they want to do. And I had that, and very fortunate that I had some great hockey players playing for me, and I really appreciate that. And of course, the worst thing, I suppose the biggest disappointment was the fact that I didn't win a Stanley Cup for Buffalo. I'd have loved to have done that.
Please don't eat Mr. Christie's crisp and chewy cookies in art class. Mr. Christie's crisp and chewy cookies taste so homemade that when you're supposed to be thinking of apples, that homemade taste will only make you think of home.
Mr. Christie, you make good cookies.
Bobby Orr and the Hockey Legend was brought to you by Planter's Nuts, the legend of quality and freshness.
Hockey Legends will continue in the next round of the playoffs. Live on CBC, this is Hockey Night in Canada and the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Today's high-performance tape players, cameras, and video games are tough on their electronic heart, the battery. So we've improved Duracell to make it a longer-lasting heart. Now you get more music, more pictures, more enjoyment. New Duracell, the heart that goes right on beating. Duracell, the copper-top battery. More heart, even longer life.
The simple screwdriver does not always lead the simple life. That's why Canadian Tire sells Mastercraft screwdrivers. And we're so sure Mastercraft brand screwdrivers are made to last, they're guaranteed forever. Just like all our Mastercraft tools. And nobody guarantees tools for longer than that.
Max, you've got to leave these tools alone. Max, you put a scratch in it.
Mastercraft tools from Canadian Tire. They're guaranteed forever.
This is the Lawn Boy Supreme, powered by an engine designed to last 50% longer than most other lawnmower engines. This Lawn Boy can do the work of 5 lawnmowers. It cuts, side bags, rear bags, mulches. It'll even shred leaves. Summer after summer, year after year, the hard-working 5-in-1 lawnmower by Lawn Boy. Lawn Boy. As time goes by, you'll know why.
Ford Mercury Price Buster.
You asked for it, Canada. We're extending our price-busting deals. Save $1,200 on 85 Tempo and Topaz with the purchase of our special value package. Take delivery by April 30th. Make no monthly payments till July 85. Hurry in and save with Ford and Mercury Price Busters.
We can't be outdone as Ford. Quality is job one.
Stanley Cup Replay, brought to you by Apple Computers and authorized Apple dealers throughout Canada.
Wayne Gretzky has 5 points in this hockey game. His own record for playoff activity is 7. He's closing in on that. Here's his first goal, unassisted from behind the net, as Thomas Steen fails to check him. That came at 5:20 of the first. Then Gretzky scored shorthanded from Curry at 12:22. A move on Ellett here. Look at that move. Uses Ellett as a screen. Beats Hayward. Then he set up Curry for a goal early in the second period. Gretzky and Huddy. Huddy holds the puck in. Watch Curry slip in from the corner as Gretzky has all eyes on him. There's the pass over, and Curry tips it past Hayward. 3 plays, 3 points for Wayne Gretzky. The score now 5-3 Oilers at the end of 2.
Stanley Cup replay, brought to you by Apple Computers and authorized Apple dealers throughout Canada.
Now you can take a Macintosh business computer to your business for a free test drive. It'll blow your mind.
Thanks, Kathy.
Hey, Harry, 4X.
Boy, that Kathy was just my type.
Oh, yeah. It's all right, Harry. We'll tell Susan on it.
Keep on getting together. You keep on having your fun. You keep on drinking your export.
I think I'll call a cab.
Not without us. Cause it keeps on tasting great.
Saturday night on Hockey Night in Canada, a division final game as our coverage of the Stanley Cup playoffs continues. Now we have a goal from the Metropolitan Sports Center in Minnesota. Randy Valaschek scores his second of the night for the North Stars, and they tie it up against the Chicago Blackhawks late in the second period. Now that period's over. A tie between the Hawks and the North Stars. There's the shot by Valaschek. A 4-4 tie between the Chicago Blackhawks and the Minnesota North Stars. Third period yet to come. Now the Islanders lead the Philadelphia Flyers by a 5-1 count. They're in the third period. Bossy is tied a playoff record with his 82nd. Montreal has defeated Quebec. That series is tied. The score tonight, 3-1 Canadians over the Nordiques.
And it's 5-3, Edmonton leading Winnipeg as we head into the final period. And John Davidson, what might the coaches have said in the dressing rooms between periods?
There we see the goal scoring for that second period. First of all, Don, there's a little conference going on here right now in center ice. Koharski is being talked to by Laurie Boschman. The Oilers are listening. You know, maybe the teams are trying to pull out all stops here. There's the idea of checking equipment for curved sticks. What happens with goaltenders is before a series starts, your supervisor goes in and checks all the goaltenders' equipment. The pads are allowed to be 10 inches wide. The goal sticks have to be a certain dimension or no bigger than a certain dimension. And that's how it's cut and dried. Now, don't be surprised if the Winnipeg Jets here are trying to pull all stops. And you can see Koharski shaking his head to Boschman saying, you know, perhaps as far as the goaltenders go, we've already checked them. You can't have a penalty called on that situation.
You talked about the coaches, Don, and I think Edmonton Oilers coach Glenn Sather will remind his players, hey, guys, we can't relax. The Jets, they're not going to quit. You saw in that later in the second period how they came back, got 2 goals against us. Let's pick up the tempo. Let's do our game, our thing, and that's the skate.
Well, this crowd will certainly be noisy here in the third period, and that could give this Winnipeg Jet Club an emotional lift. 15,519 in attendance. I have a feeling, Don, getting back to your original question, that I don't think Barry Long had too much. It would have to say very much, actually, in a dressing room in a situation like that. I think that they have leadership from Boschman and maybe perhaps Picard or Carlisle. And it's just, they know what has to be done. They had a good second half of a second period. Continue, as Gary said, that forechecking. Well, it was interesting in that second period, you pointed out, as they approached the midpoint of the period, the Jets did not have a shot on goal. And then they came back and wound up out-shooting Edmonton after 40 minutes by a 23-20 margin. As they take it to the corner, Messier comes up with it. Messier sliding it across for Napier. He couldn't get a stick on it. Napier back of the net. Napier back to the line. A quick shot knocked down in front. He gets it again for Messier alone in front. He took a shot that I think went off the crossbar and it's cleared out to center ice. Now Paul McLean for Ron Wilson. Wilson lost control of it, gets it again. Wilson back to the line. Picard couldn't get a stick on it, and it slides back into the Winnipeg zone.
I mentioned that the Oiler defense were not that involved offensively in the second period. The Oilers had 10 shots on goal, none by the defensemen, so they're trying to play that defensive style.
At the line, Winnipeg is offside. 18:46 remaining in the third.
Thomas Steen, you can see the mark under his left eye. He received a cut during one of the games in Edmonton. Barry Long considers Thomas Steen as the best three-zone player on his hockey club. In other words, as far as the centermen go, combining defense and offense, he considers him his best player.
Now it's Kozar shooting it in off Picard. The Winnipeg defenseman brings it back to Smale for Steen. Steen dumps it in on the left side. Again, Winnipeg is offside. 18:31, the time left here in the third period.
I never liked thinking about life insurance. I'm going to think about living, not dying. It was my London life agent who showed me that life insurance can be something to look forward to. And my holiday here shows me this is going to be it. A financial package he called Freedom 55 will protect my family and help me retire back to this as early as age 55. Now, that won't be too hard to take.
London Life believes life insurance is also for the living. Ask us about Freedom 55.
Finally, someone's looking at life the way we do.
Well, we remind you that on Saturday night, Game 5 of that Quebec-Montreal series will be seen on Hockey Night in Canada in Eastern Canada. If there's a fifth game in this Winnipeg-Edmonton series at Northlands Coliseum on Saturday night, viewers in Western Canada will see that one. Otherwise, that Montreal-Quebec game will be seen on the entire CBC network from coast to coast on Hockey Night in Canada. Smale keeps it in. Lundholm, a good move to get away from Coffey, unable to slide it out front, and Kozar goes back of the net. Working against Steen. Steen gets it to the line to Ellett. Ellett takes the shot. Smale managed to dig it out as it was knocked down in front, but he couldn't control it. Now it's picked up by Gretzky as the Oilers break out with 17:55 left in the third. At the line for Curry, he was spun around, and Thomas Steen, doing a good job of back-checking, managed to pick it off. Loose in the Winnipeg zone with Ellett in control now. The rookie defenseman goes rink wide for Picard. He scored a goal in the second period. On the wing, too far for Turnbull. Turnbull lost it in the corner to Fogelin. The Edmonton defenseman flips it ahead for Kozar. Kozar working against Waters. Waters pokes it away from him. They go to the corner. Kite also comes in. Kite trying to clear it, unable to get it out. It's loose in the corner. Krushelnyski goes to the boards with Kite. Boschman also comes in there. He plays it to the corner for Tim Waters. He bumps there with Willie Lindstrom. 5-3. The Oilers are in front. To the line. Fogelin with a shot right on, and Barron makes the save.
I think that's the type of play that Glenn Sather is looking from his troops, is just to do that strong forechecking, keep the puck in the Winnipeg end of the ice. Don't give them an easy time coming out of their own end.
There's Rick Bowness, the assistant coach of these Winnipeg Jets, and he had mentioned earlier that he really watches the other team to see who they've got up coming on the bench, off their bench, onto the ice for the matching of lines. John Muckler, he's always in conversation upstairs. You saw him looking up with Ted Green. You know, one of the important assistant coaches that wasn't mentioned was Les Binkley. He's the goaltending coach of the Winnipeg Jets.
From the face-off, Lindstrom took a shot that went wide off the boards into the center ice area. Picked up by Murray Eves. Eves for McLean. Back for Babbage. Babbage with a shot. Glove saved by Fuhr with McLean cutting in.
The other thing we mentioned about a lot last season was the fact that Roger Nielsen was breaking down the game films for these Edmonton Oilers. Well, the Oilers have Lauren Davis cutting down and making up these films for this year. Watch, they shot a little bit too high, and Grant Fuhr just simply held on to it. McLean, 15, always there looking for those rebounds. You know, McLean, it was a funny story. I asked him today how often he sharpened his skates. He told me he has not sharpened his skates since the All-Star break, and that's really hard to imagine.
Quite a contrast to some players who sharpen their skates between periods. On the right side, Messier cutting for the goal. He scores!
Boy, Messier took a two-hander, and he is rubbing his left hand as he was cutting around the defenseman. He is in pain, but it's worth it when you score a goal. And there's another example of the speed of Mark Messier. Of course, here in Winnipeg, this is where he played his first pro game with the Indianapolis Racers when he was 17 years old. So it's always good to come back to Winnipeg and score a goal against the Jets. There's that two-hander by Carlisle. But imagine the speed of a Mark Messier and how he cuts and wards off that hit, keeps his balance, and then puts it in the short side. Excellent play.
Anderson drawing the assist on Mark Messier's fourth goal of the playoffs at 3:29, and the Oilers lead at 6-3. Loose puck at the line, brought in by Napier. He fired it wide. Off the boards, Melnick keeps it in. A bouncing puck picked up by Picard. Well, this crowd at the Winnipeg Arena, a standing room only crowd of 15,519, cheering the Jets' every move to start this third period. A little silent now with that goal by Mark Messier. Elliott shoots it off the leg, back of the Edmonton net. Melnick clears it with 15:54 left in the hockey game. Turnbull in across the line, couldn't control it. Gregg feeds it ahead for Gretzky. Gretzky behind his back looking for Anderson, and the puck is picked up by Turnbull. Turnbull lost it at the line, and Kozar comes back for the Oilers. For Paul Coffey. Gretzky trailing the play. Coffey cutting for the goal. The save by Barron as it's picked up in the corner by Babbage. Babbage now for the Jets. A long shot off a stick wide of the Edmonton net. And Coffey comes wheeling out of there, and there's a collision with the net by Charlie Huddy, and he takes the net to the backboards, resulting in a stoppage in play with 15:15 remaining in the third.
Some make greatness look simple, like the great Gretzky. And Canon's new vision of photography, the inspiring T70, with the pure agility of touch-button control and 3 distinct program modes. Now, Canon makes it simple to handle any shot. The inspiring Canon T70.
It makes the great shot simple.
Canon, the official camera of the National Hockey League.
Now, gentlemen, where the Oilers beat you in a lot of cases is their speed to the outside. And time again, we've seen in this game how they're able to get around the Jets on the outside. That tremendous speed and balance.
6-3, Edmonton in front. Smale for Babbage. Babbage trying to get around Huddy. Huddy knocked him off the puck, and it's cleared to the center ice area. Gretzky tries it loose for Kozar. He couldn't do anything with it. Lundholm brings it back for Steen. Steen fires it wide. Smale takes it back of the net. Couldn't control it. Gretzky along the boards, tied up by Waters. Gretzky gets it again and clears the zone. 14:33 the time left in the third period. Loose puck. Here's a 2-on-1. Curry and Gretzky. Curry trying to slide it across. He backhands it and beats Barron as he tried to slide it across for Gretzky. It hit a leg. He got it back, and on the backhand beat Barron.
Well, every once in a while, Don, you need some breaks going for you, and it seems that when teams are playing well, you make your own breaks. But you're going to watch a 2-on-1 develop with Gretzky and Curry, and that's a combination that I don't envy any defenseman. Watch the pass, hits the skate or the stick, right back to Curry, and then he just puts it in right along the ice.
Fellas, watch Barron. He's been very, very deep in the net during this period. Now watch him here as he backs in early. It's a 2-on-1. The puck goes in. Look where he's standing. Really deep in that net. He moved back very, very early. He also did that on a goal earlier this period.
So it's 7-3 as Curry gets the goal from Gretzky at 5:35. Tonight's hockey game and Hockey Night in Canada game is coming to you from Winnipeg.
From a Bavarian tradition 600 years old, using nature's finest hops and sun-ripened barley, it all comes down to this, Lowenbrau.
It calls for Lowenbrau tonight.
In Enjoyed in 140 countries, it's the difference between good beer and great beer. Legendary Lowenbrau.
It calls for Lowenbrau tonight.
Well, Yari Curry has the hat trick, but Wayne Gretzky has 6 points, just one shy of his Stanley Cup record. On April 17th, 1983, in a 10-2 victory over Calgary, Gretzky had 4 goals and 3 assists. A 6-point night for number 99. Loose puck in the center ice area. 7-3, the Edmonton Oilers in front. Babbage drops it for Eve. His shot slides to the side of the net. Picked up there by Kevin Lowe and out to the center ice area. Babbage comes back to feed it ahead for Eves. Eves couldn't go anywhere with it, and it's brought back by Willie Lindstrom. Lindstrom shoots it in. 13:33, the time left in the hockey game. Paul McLean off the boards and down the ice. Fuhr is forced to make the save.
Fellas, another update on Brian Mullen. He's been admitted to the Health Science Center here in Winnipeg. He has a condition called ifema, which is bleeding into the eye. We certainly want to wish Brian Mullen the best of luck. Timmy Waters grimacing a little bit with pain. Howie Meeker says that Timmy Waters is a throwback to the old style defenseman, to stay at home, take the body as much as possible, stay within your own limitations. He credits Serge Savard for helping him along with his career. When Serge Savard was a defenseman here in Winnipeg, he tutored the younger defensemen, and Tim Waters is an example of Serge's good teachings.
What chances do you think Gretzky has of being a star tonight with 6 points? Napier in the center ice area for Messier. Messier using his speed again. Lost control of the puck, and Turnbull coming back picks it up for the Jets. Turnbull on the right side for Waters. Over to Jim Kite. Kite, a long drive that's deflected by Fuhr into the crowd.
Well, I think as Jim Kite continues to play games in the National Hockey League, he will gain that valuable experience and get better and better. Right now, the problems he has is handling the puck and making plays. As soon as he gets it, he'll wrap it around the boards, and that's just the experience factor. One thing he does for this hockey club is he's there whenever the going gets tough. He's going to protect his teammates, and that's one of the reasons that he's in the lineup. An honest player.
Steen moves into the face-off circle against Mark Messier. From the draw, it goes back to Huddy. He falls behind his own net. Still manages to dig it out. However, he can't clear the zone. They battle for it along the boards with 12:38 remaining in the period. It's fed ahead to Gretzky. Gretzky looking for Coffey, a shot. And Barron got a piece of that as it slid to the corner. Steen leaves it for Smale. He overskated it. Picard catches up with the play. He hits the side of the net, and it winds up in the mesh back of the goal.
Well, Robert Picard has really let a couple of moving slap shots go. And J.D., you know, from a goaltender's position, if a guy is given time to release that shot, makes it very difficult. You know, he's had all kinds of time to wind up and take that big slap shot.
You can see Fuhr trying to play the angle of the shot just outside of the goalpost. The thing there, Gary, is when you're skating down full speed, even though it's a shot from a little ways out, even outside the top of the circle, you get a lot on that shot when you have that full speed going for you. Remember the goal Coffey scored in Edmonton earlier in this series. Everybody said, gee, maybe the goaltender Hayward should have had that, but Coffey was skating full speed at the time.
Talking about speed, two of them who have it, Curry and Gretzky, but at the line, Curry is checked by Babbitt, and the puck is dumped back into the Oilers' zone. Pass intercepted by Babbitt. He dumps it back into Edmonton territory, and Paul Coffey takes it back of his own net. Coffey tried to pass it up the middle. It hit Murray Eves. He got it back again and then dumps it out into the center ice area, and it's fired into Winnipeg territory. 11:43 is the time left in period 3. 7-3, the Edmonton Oilers lead it. It's Randy Carlyle now at the line, and offside was Murray Eves. 11:34 is the time left in the third period.
Take off in your truck. Take off in your 4x4. before. Take off in your van. Take him off the street for a blast in the country. Because on the highway or booting it through the bush, you're flying high on Uniroyal Laredos, all-terrain tug, and Sweet Silent. From Uniroyal.
Well, the Edmonton Oilers are 11 minutes and 34 seconds away from sweeping the Winnipeg Jets, and they could have a nice long rest before they engage in their next series with either Minnesota or Chicago.
And you can see here Mark Messier getting double shifted a little bit on the fourth line with Semenko and Hughes.
Into the corner goes Waters. He's tied up by Semenko. A loose puck along the boards, cleared to center ice. Hughes back into his own zone for Kevin Lowe. Lowe dumps it into the center ice area. And now Arneal fires it back in for Winnipeg. Fogelin plays it back to the net. The Jets come up with it. Then the pass is picked off by Messier on the right side for Hughes. Hughes across the line. He left it there, but there was no trailer on the play. Turnbull now for Winnipeg, trying to go around Melnick. He's upset by the Edmonton defenseman. They both go down. Gregg trying to clear it, put it over the glass, and out of play.
Of course, the Edmonton Oilers would like to end the series so some of the players can get rid of the injuries, have a chance to rest up. Kevin Lowe is an example of that. He has that Charlie horse, and talking to Peter Miller, the therapist of the Oilers, he met a guy by the name of Richard Romansky. He is a trainer of the L.A. Raiders and met him in L.A. and got a flapjack thigh pad, believe it or not. And that's what Kevin Lowe has been wearing on his thigh, similar to what Earl Campbell does for the Houston Oilers. So I said, how does it work, Kevin? And he put it on my thigh, took a hockey stick to it, and gave me a two-hander. I had my eyes closed, but I didn't feel a thing.
Well, that flak jacket has been a major topic of conversation, and now we have a stoppage in play. There, of course, was speculation that with the flak jacket, Dale Hawerchuk, with that cracked rib, might be able to return to action.
Timeout called here.
And while we have this stoppage in play, a reminder that on Saturday night, viewers in Eastern Canada, and it looks very much as though on the entire CBC network on Hockey Night in Canada, will be viewing Game 5 of the Montreal-Quebec series from the Montreal Forum.
Again, you can see the assistant coach, Rick Bowness, was talking to the Winnipeg Jets, not the head coach, Barry Long, and I asked Long about that this morning, and he said it's simply a matter of not having two coaches chirping at the same time, trying to fill the ears of all the players. Rick Bowness, of course, we had mentioned, in touch with Bill Sutherland upstairs in the press box. We see the plays, we have a better chance to set something up. The Jets want to try and get something on this face-off. They have a designed play, they pulled their goaltender, which is interesting. You can see 6 players up front, 10:40 left here in the third period. They're going with 6 attackers.
So the Oilers, I can't believe what's happening here. A chance to fatten up their goals averages. And Gretzky, he's on the ice.
Now, Gretzky is now tied with Stastny for the scoring leadership in the playoffs with his big night. Stastny got 1 assist earlier in his game. Peter, that is. Gretzky has 6. Oh boy, this could be a bunch of hound dogs with going after the pork chop. There you can see the smiles of some of the players on the bench.
Well, this may establish a Stanley Cup playoff record for the earliest that a goaltender has been pulled. Back to the line. Savage with a shot. Through traffic, it went wide. Loose puck, Carlisle trying to center it at the side of the net. Pure dives out and grabs it.
Well, what do the Jets have to lose? It doesn't matter if you lose by 1 or by 9. One thing, the Jet players that are on the ice, they're going to go gung-ho in the Edmonton end of the ice. The important thing is to out-muscle or out-man the Oilers wherever that puck is.
Now, that's another thing that you're going to see a lot of here. Every time that puck is around Grant Fuhr, they're going to be trying to stick him like a pincushion, and you're going to see pushing, shoving at every opportunity. The referee and the linesmen are going to have to jump in there or something's going to break out, I'm sure.
Well, it's just a matter of time before the Oilers gain control and break out with that empty net.
Boschman against Krushelnyski in the face-off circle. Carlisle, the only man back. The extra attacker out there. Carlisle gets it. Carlisle trying to center it. It goes off the leg. Now Lundholm is tied up in the corner. Curry plays it up along the boards and down the ice, and the play is whistled down. A penalty, I believe, coming up against the Edmonton Oilers. So we have 10:19 left in the game, and the Jets will go to the power play.
This dandelion has just been fed easy-to-apply Killex, Canada's leading lawn weed killer. Not only dandelions, but over 50 other varieties of lawn weeds all find Killex irresistible. And like the dandelion, they never live to regret it. If you've got dandelions, or any of their weedy friends, get Killex from Green Cross. Killex. Lawns love it. Weeds die for it.
Third period action in Minnesota. All 5 North Star goals scored by defensemen tonight. Watch Gordy Roberts on this play. Willie Plett helps him out, so does Dennis Marouk, but it's Gordy Roberts, named after Gordie Howe, who gets the goal for Minnesota. That puts them in front of Chicago, 5-4, third period action.
Randy Gregg got the holding penalty. He's in the box. Watch Laurie Boschman on these faceoffs. He's been doing a good number for these Winnipeg Jets. Of course, I say it, and he loses it.
At the side of the net, it's pried loose, but the play has been whistled down. In the opinion of referee Don Koharski, Grant Fuhr had held it long enough. And that Winnipeg net is still empty.
Now, J.D., at least Boschman is going to get another opportunity here on this draw, and he's had a relatively easy time throughout the series against Mark Messier in the draws.
Well, you see that the last big win he had was against Krushelnyski. They've taken him off the ice and put Messier on. Now, they have 2 centermen out there with Steen. Of course, now with Boschman thrown out, Steen's going to go in and try and take advantage of it. And again, watch the pushing and shoving that's going to go on right in front of Grant Fuhr. They're going to try and screen him as much as possible. It's going to be interesting one way or the other.
From the faceoff, back to Carlisle. A shot, the save by Fuhr. It goes over the glass and out of play.
Now there, he won the faceoff clear, but the Oilers did their job. The shot was directed towards Grant Fuhr, and they allowed him to see the puck. They simply, the defenseman on the other side of the ice, simply stood up and held the Winnipeg Jets from trying to pry into that crease area and pick up a rebound or screen the goaltender.
Now, Barry Long talked about that. You know, we're getting the draws, but then we're not capitalizing on getting them cleanly. We're not heading for that net quick enough.
Loose shot to the corner. Thomas Steen back to the line. Babbage to Steen. Steen slides it to the side of the net. Paul McLean tried to take it back at the goal, and it's cleared out into the center ice area. Now the Jets, with their net empty, with the 2 extra attackers as a result of the penalty to Gregg, fire it in. It comes out to Randy Carlisle, putting ahead to Gretzky, and Gretzky is going to equal a Stanley Cup record. No! He gets it again, now he scores! Wayne Gretzky with his 7th point. I prematurely said that he would get his 7th point when he hit the post.
They
always
always
want to
said-
make it exciting, that's all.
They always said he had trouble on breakaways. He picks up his own rebound. He's trying to outrace Babbage. Babbage, a great effort to get back. Now watch how he just picks the puck up to the legs again. Fancy. And this time he deposits it without any problems at all.
On the first shot, he went for the goal post, just inside the post. On the second one, he went for the 5-hole. Made it count.
Now they put Mark Barron back in goal now that it's an 8-3 game. Gretzky getting fancy, trying to control the puck. Good hustle by everybody, but this time the Jets don't get control. The Oilers do. Now watch Gretzky as he chases that rebound down. Boom, there it goes, and he just makes sure it gets in this time as he reaches ahead with it. Ties an NHL record, his own record, most points in a playoff game at 7. And the Jets have now put Barron, the goaltender, back in goal. They'll play even strength. Well, Gregg is still in the penalty box. That ends up being a shorthanded goal.
And that's 2 shorthanded goals in the game for Wayne Gretzky. He has 3 goals and 4 assists, 7 points tonight. That equals the record that Gretzky set April 17th, 1983 against Calgary. On that occasion, he had 4 goals, 3 assists. So the Edmonton Oilers now 9:29 away from advancing to the next round. Hockey Night in Canada returns in a moment.
We've had some big wins, but we're still going for the biggest. Lotto 649.
Yeah, I've had some big wins, but I'm still going for the biggest. Lotto 649.
I've had some big wins, but I'm still going for the biggest, Lotto 649.
Lotto 649. Now you're talking a big win. A minimum weekly jackpot of $1 million, and it just keeps getting bigger. Only $1 a ticket.
Well, a delay here at the Winnipeg Arena as some debris is cleaned off the ice surface in the Edmonton end.
That'll be very interesting if the Winnipeg Jets gain control of the puck in the Edmonton Oiler end of the ice, if Mark Barron will make his way to the bench, pulling the goalie.
Well, we could just talk about the Oilers for a second. After their pregame skate today, they went back to the hotel, they had a pregame meal, and then they spent an hour watching films. They were up 3-0 in this series going into this hockey game, and they still spent that hour going over things, talking about the Winnipeg Jets. And I mentioned earlier that Lauren Davis has replaced Roger Nielsen this season in breaking down those game tapes, and he's done a real good job.
Well, Barry Long has returned Mark Barron to that Winnipeg net. A courageous move on the part of Barry Long, though, with 10:40 remaining in the period, to pull his goaltender and keep him out of there as he attempted to get back in this game. But with the score reading 7-3 for the Edmonton Oilers, really not much to lose, as the Winnipeg Jets now face elimination in 4 straight games. And in their playoff history, the Jets have yet to defeat the Edmonton Oilers. In the past 2 years, going down to the Oilers 3 straight in the preliminary round.
Well, again, as the coaches of the Oilers had mentioned, we can play any style you want to play. If you want to play a hitting game, we'll accommodate you. If you want to play a skating game, that is their strength, we'll accommodate you that way.
And you can see the shield worn by rookie defenseman Dave Ellett. He broke his nose severely earlier in the season. John Ferguson was talking about the toughness of Ellett. Ellett never missed a game. He had the visor put on the helmet, continued to play, and he's going to be a star here for the Winnipeg Jets for a lot of years to come.
8:49 is the time left in the game. It's 8-3. The Edmonton Oilers leading the Winnipeg Jets. Murray Eves across the line. It's offside as Wilson was ahead of the play.
Another quick look at our playoff scoreboard. Look at this. The Islanders coming back in their series with Philadelphia. Bossy tied our playoff record, 82 goals, 6-2 the final tonight. Islanders win it. Montreal defeated Quebec 3-1. Carbonneau got the winner there at the Quebec Coliseum. And Minnesota, goal by Gordie Roberts, has moved in front of Chicago 5-4, third period.
And here at the Winnipeg Arena, a 7-point night for Wayne Gretzky. In an 8-3 Edmonton lead, Picard, a long drive that's deflected by Fuhr to the glass. Now in behind the net, dug out by Eves. He tried to slide it out for Arneal, who was upset, and the penalty is coming up against the Edmonton Oilers. From the Winnipeg Arena, this is Stanley Cup 85 on CBC.
We know about the lands you hold, CN, along your railway lines, and watch with awe how you develop them, sharing the opportunity to build towards Canada's financial future, bringing the world of business to us, connecting with the world. And when you bring us in to share your progress, we know who you're in business for.
Yari Curry gets the tripping penalty. He was trying to do the job deep in his own zone. Watch him reach out with his hockey stick. He pulls the feet out from underneath Scott Arneal. The forwards dropping very deep for Edmonton in their own zone.
Thomas Dean back to the line for Babbage. He winds up. The shot did not get through, and it's dumped out to Gretzky. Gretzky working against Carlisle. Coming back to take it away from him is Lundholm. The puck bounces loose. Gretzky gets it again. Over for Messier, and he fired it wide. The Oilers almost got their third shorthanded goal of the game. They may get the chance. No, the pass intended for Gretzky is picked off by Val. Another Stanley Cup update, and here's Brian McFarland.
Chicago Blackhawks have come back again to tie the game at Minnesota. 5-5 now at 9:15 into the third period. Gardner scores from O'Callaghan. And Patterson, there's the screenshot. And it fools Beaupre. Midway through the third period, tied at 5.
And I'm sure the Edmonton Oilers are hoping that series between Minnesota and Chicago will go the full 7 games.
It certainly looks that way. Getting back to this one for a second, do you think it would be wise for Glenn Sather, 7:33 left in the third, 8-3 is the score, perhaps put Andy Mulligan, get him a little bit of...
He has to wait for Wilson to get onside. Now gets it over to Wilson. A return pass goes back at the net. Babbage slides it out front. Gretzky picked it off and fired it around the board. Loose puck at center ice. Gretzky picks it up. Gretzky, a rink-wide pass. Nobody in position. And Picard goes back into his own zone. Ahead for Murray Eves. Eves is out there with Wilson and Picard. The pass picked off and deflected back into the neutral zone. 26 seconds remaining in the penalty to Yari Curry, and then the Edmonton Oilers will go to the power play. Now it's Wilson. Back to the line for Picard. Over to the other side. Elliott with a shot. The save is made by Fuhr, and he dumps it up along the boards for Anderson. Anderson to Gretzky at center ice. Gretzky tried to feed it back to Anderson. Anderson does manage to carry on, going for the goal. Takes the shot. He was tied up, however, by Elliott, and that weak shot kicked out by Barron. Now it's Turnbull coming back for Winnipeg. The Oilers with the man advantage. 36 seconds remaining in the penalty to Thomas Dean. Vogelin plays it back at the net for Kevin Lowe. Rink wide for Curry. Curry to Messier across the line. He goes rink wide for Lowe, a drive, and Barron got a piece of that. Back to Messier. 10 seconds left in the penalty. Messier to Curry. As he played it off the end boards, Curry took a swipe at it and hit the side of the net. Now Thomas Dean is back out for the Jets. Both teams again at full strength. As Picard falls, going back to the net. Wade Campbell tying up Vogelin. The puck goes loose. It comes to the line. Dumped back into the corner. Lundholm unable to center it. Campbell goes to the corner. He's bodied there. Puck loose along the boards. Lundholm gets it. Lundholm back to the line for Carlisle. A shot. And that's deflected wide by Wade Campbell in front of the net. The Jets bring it out front. They jam away at it, and it bounces high. Campbell comes up with it for Winnipeg. He's taken in against the board. 4:48 remaining in the hockey game. Now Lundholm trying to move it out front. It falls under Vogelin, and now Vogelin is going after Lundholm as that puck slid underneath him, and Lundholm took an extra poke at it. When that penalty to Steen expired, he still had the major to serve, of course, and Wade Campbell came onto the ice in his place and did quite a job of standing in front of the net, providing a screen. And it could be that Andy Moog is going in.
I just think it's a good idea with a score that one-sided like it is gone. Get Andy Moog in there, get him a little bit of playoff experience for this season. He hasn't played at all. He's had problems with both knees. Get the chance, take advantage of it.
And now another Stanley Cup update with Brian McFarland.
The Blackhawks cry offside on this play, but the North Stars score the goal that puts them in front of Chicago. McKegney teaming up with Maruk and Hartsburg. Watch McKegney getting alone in front of Bannerman, and he drills it in. So it's 6-5, Minnesota in front, third period.
And a lot of goals throughout the National Hockey League. 11 here in Winnipeg, 8 in Long Island. All the scoring in Minnesota. The only one that was playoff hockey was the Montreal Nordique game.
Well, Grant Fuhr is going to get a well-deserved rest. You see him with the beard underneath the mask there. He's growing the beard simply because he did last year in the playoffs, and he said they won the Stanley Cup. I'm not going to change. Andy Moog, who's had all kinds of treatments to try and get his knees back into condition. They didn't really think they had anything structurally wrong with Andy Moog's knees, but they were sore. They were bothering him. He feels ready. Even though it's only going to be close to 5 minutes, it's still worth it.
I guess players are superstitious, aren't they?
You bet they are.
Randy Gregg, attempting to play it around on the glass, fired it up over the glass and into the crowd.
Graham Fuhr had played in 19 straight games coming into this one here and played so well. Great personality to be a good goaltender. Nothing seems to bother Grant Fuhr. Simply gets the job done. And a great tribute towards goaltenders, I think, is the fact that when you're well respected by your teammates, and Edmonton have two that fall into that category, and we'd have to speak about the same for the Winnipeg Jets with Barron and Hayward. Their teammates speak very, very highly of those goalkeepers.
And the reason they've got the respect is the way they work in practice. I mean, they really make the forwards and defense bear down trying to score a goal against them. It makes the goaltenders better, also makes the forwards better.
4:29 left in the hockey game. The Edmonton Oilers, the defending Stanley Cup champions, will remain unbeaten through the 1985 playoffs. Gretzky across the line, over for Pozar, and Pozar was unable to get a shot away. Curry gets it back to Melnick. A drive sails wide. Loose puck in the corner, and Doug Smale races in there, trying to get it ahead to Wilson, and Wilson finally moves it out to Jim Kite. With Scott Arneal, a long drive, and that's bluffed by Moe.
Kite didn't see that Melnick had fallen down on the play. They had a 2-on-1. He took a long shot. Arneal was wide open.
Arneal trying to center it. As it poked away, it goes back into the center ice area, and Tim Waters comes back for Winnipeg. He played it ahead for Arneal, too far. Kevin Lowe retreating into his own zone, dumping it up along the boards now for Fogelin. Fogelin to the Winnipeg line, picked off there by Carlisle. The lead pass broken up at the Edmonton line, and now Wade Campbell comes back, working to the corner. Taken out of the play by Kevin Lowe. Puck moved out front of the net and then cleared, and Dave Semenko comes back for Edmonton. A long shot off a leg, and back comes Winnipeg with Wade Campbell carrying the puck and backhanding it into the Edmonton zone. 3 minutes remaining in the hockey game. The Oilers in front by a score of 5-3. Lindholm steals it. He tried to slide it across for ease, and it was deflected away.
You know, when a new goaltender just comes in, that's the time to test him and shoot it.
Now Messier brings it out and then decides to go back into his own zone, trying to regroup. A pass ahead for Semenko to Randy Gregg. Gregg races into the corner. Barron is out of his net. It goes around to the corner. Now out front for Semenko. It hopped away from him. And Carlisle takes it into the corner with 2:28 left in the hockey game. The Edmonton Oilers once again will reign as Spice Division champions. McLean across the line, taken out of the play by Gregg. It goes loose in the corner. Krushelnyski for Hunter. Hunter off the boards into the center ice area. Krushelnyski trying to get away from Babbitt, the two of them fighting for that loose puck. 2 minutes now remaining. The Oilers, on a brilliant 7-point performance by Wayne Gretzky, lead at 8-3. Turnbull with a drive, the save, and the rebound. Andy Moog with his first stop since taking over from Grant Fuhr. And the puck brought out into the center ice area, fired back in, offside. Another Stanley Cup update now with Brian McFarland.
Oh, they're wearing out the puck in Minnesota. It's a 6-6 tie now as Savard scores from the slot for the Chicago Blackhawks. A lot of goals, a lot of shots. There's Savard moving in. And the North Stars changed their goalie, put in Gilles Meloche, 6-6 in the third.
I still have to question the fact that Beaupre started that hockey game. It sounds like Gilles Meloche is healthy. Gilles Meloche played all the way through. You've gone to the dance with him. Why not stay with him?
Great hand for the Winnipeg Jets. It's been an excellent season, and what fans are left here are giving the team a standing ovation.
Well, the Winnipeg Jets had their most successful season ever in the National Hockey League, and now some idiot in the crowd throws a bottle onto the ice, if you can believe it, and it shatters in the center ice area.
Well, it doesn't really matter which city you're in. You always get one or two goofballs, and somebody's obviously slowing it down here right now.
Well, the score here is 8-3 for Edmonton. It's all but over with 1:43 left. It's tied in Minnesota. Let's now go to Jim Robson.
5 minutes and 5 seconds left in a terrific playoff game in Minnesota tonight. The North Stars and the Blackhawks are 6-all, would you believe it? As Chicago had leads Up 3-2 after one, 4-2 at one stage. Then Minnesota had leads of 5-4 and 6-5. Acton has just knocked down Murray Bannerman, and Acton is going to get a penalty and draw some attention for that check on goaltender Murray Bannerman, down on the ice injured, and he has been outstanding. Despite 6 goals against him, Bannerman has faced 44 shots. The Blackhawks have had 21 shots on Minnesota goaltenders. 20 of them on Don Beaupre, who left the game after the 6th Chicago goal, had tied the game at 6, and Gilles Melanche then went in to replace him, and so far Melanche has faced only 1 shot. And here's the collision that has resulted in the penalty to and Gilles Melanche then went in to replace him, and so far Melanche has faced only 1 shot. And here's the collision that has resulted in the penalty to Acton, as he hit Bannerman hard from behind, and Keith Acton goes to the penalty box at 15:17 of this torrid third period. It's been a rough game, 47 minutes to each team. Now Chicago with a man advantage. Their power play record in this game, they're 2 for 5. Minnesota's 2 for 6 with a man advantage. Charging is the infraction on Acton, as he decked Bannerman, who did not see the check coming. So now the North Stars will have to kill off a penalty against a very potent Chicago power play. Both these teams have been successful in the playoff and power plays. The Minnesota North Stars have 9 power play goals. The Blackhawks have 10 so far in the 85 playoffs. Chicago goal scorers: 2 by Savard, singles by Larmer, Olczyk, Lysiak, and Gardner. Minnesota goals: the only forward for the North Stars who scored is Tony McKegney, others by defensemen: 2 by Valashek, singles by Wilson, Hartsburg, and Roberts. Now there's 4:40 left to play in the third period. 6-all tie. Chicago leading the series 2-1. Game 5 is in Chicago Sunday night. Doug Wilson with the puck. The other point man is number 6, Bob Murray, as they start up the ice. Savard, Secord, and Larmer up front. Larmer going after the puck. A snap, bats it away. And it's cleared down the ice by Neil Broughton. Graham and Wilson go after it. Denny Savard, with 2 goals and 2 assists tonight, feeds it off to Larmer. Poke check by Steps. That broke up the play. Doug Wilson controlling the puck with 40 seconds gone, and the penalty to Acton. Savard on the board to Al Secord. To Savard. Secord going to the front of the net. Steps trying to check him there. Bob Murray shot. Oops, the save made by Melanche. And out comes Dirk Graham with the puck. Slaps it on Murray Bannerman. 55 seconds left in a penalty to Keith Acton. Steve Larmer shoots the puck in. 3:33 left on the clock in the third period. It's 6-all. Darryl Sutter got it to Larmer. Keith Brown, number 4, keeping it in at the point as he's checked, and the puck is forced outside the line. Bellows coming in on Ben Wilson. Brian Bellows. And he's stopped by the sprawling Bannerman on the short side, as Bellows was tackled by Ben Wilson. The Hawks come back. They're still on the power play for 25 seconds. A hit on the boards by Tony McKegney, and he comes out with the puck. McKegney takes the shot, moves in on Ben Wilson, then shots just off the target. 12 seconds left in Acton's penalty. Troy Murray starts up ice for Chicago. Got away from Broughton. Moving in on Roberts, who took him out. 2:43 left in the game. That is in regulation time, and Acton's penalty is over. And he has the puck. Coming in with Broughton. Acton right in. Missed the net. Acton shot again off the target. 2.5 minutes left on the clock. A 6-all tie in Minnesota. A near-capacity crowd, 14,861, roaring at every minute. Dino Ciccarelli came up with the puck, but a glove hand pass stops the play with 2:20 left.
Well, it's all over here at the Winnipeg Arena. 8-3. Edmonton defeating Winnipeg. A 7-point performance by Wayne Gretzky, as the players are now shaking hands, and the fans giving the Winnipeg Jets and the Edmonton Oilers a standing ovation. And I saw something else very classy from that man right there. Barry Long, along with his assistant,
Rick Bowness. They skated walked right across the ice to the Edmonton coaching staff, shook hands. Good effort for the Winnipeg Jets. They're going to be heard from time coming.
Better believe it. An excellent season for the Jets. For the Edmonton Oilers, a little time off to relax and to prepare for the next series. And they really don't know who that is going to be. And there, what a difference he might have made, Dale Howard-Chuck. But he will be there next year.
Well, the Winnipeg Jets will have all summer to reflect on what if Dale Howard-Chuck had been in the lineup. Now, let's go back to the Met Center in Minneapolis and Jim Robson.
Just over 2 minutes left in
Sports Center in Minnesota. Here in Winnipeg tonight, 4 straight for the Edmonton Oilers, an 8-3 victory over the Winnipeg Jets. A big night for Wayne Gretzky, who had 3 goals and 4 assists to tie his own record of 7 points in a hockey game. The 3 stars of tonight's hockey game, well, obviously, the star number 1 was Wayne Gretzky with that output, which is phenomenal. And then star number 2, Yari Curry, also a 3-goal man for the Oilers tonight, added 1 assist, and Mark Messier, who played such a strong game in game number 3, was equally good again tonight and had 1 big hockey goal for the Edmonton Oilers. We'll have more on Stanley Cup 85. Hockey Night in Canada on CBC returns in just a moment. Stanley Cup playoffs on CBC return in a moment. 8-3 win for the Edmonton Oilers tonight over the Winnipeg Jets, a 4-game sweep. The Oilers on their way again. They're the only undefeated team in the playoffs so far in 1985. For more on tonight's game against the Jets, let's go upstairs to John Davidson and Gary Dornhofer.
Thank you, Brian. And, you know, the Edmonton Oilers seem to find different ways of winning. You know, Grant Fuhrer stoned them in one game. Paul Coffey takes over. Then it's Messier's line. Tonight, the Wayne Gretzky show.
Well, you had to wait for an explosion. I think if you really analyzed tonight's game, Gary, of course, Curry and Gretzky really got on the road. They got things flying. But let's go all the way back to that first period where the Winnipeg Jets had the power play advantage for 9 minutes of that period. One was a 5-minute major to Charlie Huddy for drawing blood. And they got 1 power play goal, but they also gave up a shorthanded goal, the Winnipeg Jets did. So I think if there was a key there, you have to go right back and say those Winnipeg Jets had trouble in the power play, and Edmonton, their penalty killing, excellent.
Absolutely, and, you know, they weathered the storm. They knew the Jets were going to come out, and they played discipline behind their own blue line, and that really was the story of the ball game. But Gretzky is right at his peak right now, and, you know, an interesting matchup on how to cover Wayne Gretzky. L.A. did it one way, Barry Long did it another way, allowed Gretzky to carry the puck, and he filled the net. So it's going to be interesting watching the Oilers play in the next series. Right now with more, here's Brian McFarland.
Well, it's going to be an interesting time to coach Glenn Sather now, because a 4-game sweep, undefeated so far. You're sitting there nice and calm and relaxed and savoring it a bit, because I think you expect a little bit tougher series with Winnipeg, did you not?
We beat them 4 straight, but I think that the series was as tough as we expected. We knew that with Howard-Chuck out of the lineup, it would be a little easier than it would have been with him in there. He's a great hockey player. But they pushed us hard. I just think that our team was starting to come together at the right time. They caught us at a time when we were collecting our emotion and paying an awful lot of attention to what the coaches were saying to the players. And the team was very aware, and we had the feeling through practice that they were ready to start to really play. And we've gone through a period when they're not ready to play. So when they're ready to play, you get the feeling from them that there isn't going to be an awful lot of teams around that can beat them when they're playing like that.
We got quite a kick out of watching Wayne Gretzky tonight, especially when they pulled the goalie midway through the 3rd period. I don't think you've seen that before that early in a hockey game, have you? And how he hit one off the goal post?
Well, we saw it in Hartford one night when just at the end of the year when Wayne was going for a record, and he ended up having 2 or 3 breakaways in the empty net and was passing it off because it hit an assist record that he was trying to get. But we've seen it before, and I don't know whether it's a great idea or not. I wouldn't want to second guess him, but when we ended up in a shorthanded situation, we could shoot the puck right from our end of the ice down. I think I would have put the goalie back in at that time.
How are you ever going to get Andy Moog into some playoff action?
Well, I tried to put him in at the 12-minute mark, and Koharski kept giving us penalties all night. I think we played half the game shorthanded, but I wanted to put him in then, and we got a couple of penalties, so I really couldn't put him in. I wanted to get him into some playing time just to test his leg and to get Fuhrer out of there so nothing could happen to him. But we didn't get him in until there was almost 6 minutes left in the game, and I thought Andy looked sharp, and he made a couple of good saves.
There's so many Oilers to talk about, but I know the comparison Paul Coffey and Bobby Orr is probably a valid one, the way he's been playing this year.
Well, it's valid from the point of view that they're both very dominating. I mean, Bobby was Bobby. He's just a great hockey player, and Paul Coffey now is being respected and being accepted as being a great hockey player. There's always been a lot of criticism about Paul and about our hockey club for some strange reason. People aren't ready to accept that this is a great hockey team, and Paul has certainly come into his own. He's mature. He's matured to the point now where he's very confident defensively and offensively, and he's probably going to be more confident than winning 2 fights. So
thank you, Coach. Good luck in the next series. Fans, I'm sorry, because of network obligations, we cannot bring you the overtime between Chicago and Minnesota. Hockey Night in Canada's coverage of the Stanley Cup playoffs continues on Saturday night. Check your local listings. Good night from Winnipeg.